Oh, wow, we're live already, apparently. Blimey! It works a little bit differently when you do this. I thought I'd scheduled it, but apparently not. So, welcome to the first Geeky Pastimes live stream, I guess. I know, obviously, I do live streams every day, but I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different. Like, YouTube has added all of this new podcast functionality, and I kind of want to start playing a few different games. So that's kind of what we're going to do today. It's going to be a bit more like a just chatting kind of stream. We might play a few different games. We might play some DMZ. We might play some Kerbal Space Program. Who knows? We might play a bunch of different stuff. But we'll see how it goes. We might never ever do one of these again, depending on what feedback's like. But I'm just kind of wanting to branch out a little bit. So, hello, Tony. How's it going? We're going to be, like I said, doing a lot more interaction and stuff like that. I want to have a look at like the latest game news, the latest game releases, what's coming out over the next week or so, over the next couple of weeks maybe. It should be a lot of fun. So, trying something new on YouTube. Come hang out. And also let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your feedback for all of this stuff. Like, this is just the first time I'm doing this. It might become a weekly thing. It might become a daily thing. Like, this might become my main way of doing live streams if it was successful. So, yeah, come let me know what you think. Tell me in the chat. Hopefully it all sounds okay. I'm streaming everything in a slightly different way to how I normally do, but hopefully it's all good. Tony says, I'm good, thanks. I'm going to try raids today with my squad, using your video to get through it. I mean, I think you can have a pretty easy time with the second raid. I think, like, the second raid, I was almost a bit dubious about making a guide for it, because I think it just makes sense what you have to do, except for maybe the fan room. But, like, the rest of it, we're talking about Call of Duty, by the way, for people who are watching this back and don't know the context. The first Call of Duty raid is a little bit trickier, I think, like, there's stuff that needs to be worked out and it might take a little while. I'm going to drink a massive thing of juice. I'm sorry. I just didn't want to waste a glass when there's not that much juice left. That was in honor of miso juice coming in. Although this is not miso, this is just orange. Is the raid blueprint any good? No. Not really. I mean, I don't think any of the blueprints that have been given as rewards and stuff like that are very good. The only one I quite like is Hazardous, which is one of the tier 4 DMZ rewards. The one that the chemist had, the M13. Hi, Geordie from YouTube. I don't, sadly. Should I? What should I remember you from? I apologize for not remembering. I'm glad you like watching my streams. So yeah, I was explaining a little bit at the beginning. I'll explain one more time just as people come in. I'm kind of thinking of doing something a little bit different. So I'm doing this stream today as a little bit of a test. If it doesn't work well, it's fine. I'll flick it to private. I'll put it on members only. Only members will be able to see this in future if that happens. But I kind of like the idea of doing some more streams that are focused on the just chatting bit, and we still might play some Call of Duty when there's something to do. Like, I wouldn't mind checking out the new Shredder operator bundle thing today. And I might try out maybe some different games. So maybe, you know, I could show you a little bit of other games that I've been playing lately, like Kerbal Space Program, or maybe we might do something like Diablo. Obviously, the beta is this weekend. We'll do stuff like that. Or if there was something going on in a certain game, like Destiny or the finals, or all of those other games that I don't tend to play on stream very much, I think that could be kind of fun. But we'll see how it goes. You know, we'll see what people think of it. And if it's successful, this might become a weekly thing. If it's moderately successful and I just enjoy it, it might become like something that I do very occasionally. Or if it's wildly successful and I get just as many people watching this as I do watching me play Call of Duty, this could be every day now. We could do this every day. Yeah, Maida, kind of. I mean, it might even be a return of just doing just chatting streams all the time. I've always said this, whenever I do just chatting streams, and like this goes back to when I used to be on Twitch as well. I always enjoy doing just chatting streams more than I enjoy playing games on stream. Like, it's just something that's more fun about just chatting to all of you. I don't get wound up. You don't get backseat gamers and stuff like that. You don't have the kind of frustrations of like when a game's not going well or anything like that. It's just fairly simple. And it means we can always do like a bit more kind of fun and interesting stuff because I can be free to try things that are a bit different. So Geordie said from the Zork puzzles. That is a long time ago. That's like 3 years ago now. So no, I'm sorry, I don't remember. Although, can you see anything in my background that is connected to the Zork puzzles? Well, not quite the Zork puzzles, but Pawn Takes Pawn. I actually have one of the things from Pawn Takes Pawn in my setup that they sent me after we completed all of that, which is pretty cool. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, and like this is kind of going to be a regular thing if we do end up doing this every week, is just talking about what is coming out soon. So what video games are like on the radar for future releases. Man, I need to pause that because I didn't actually
Every time I look up in the sky, I know it'll
why have I
be
got music
alright.
playing on the IGN thing? Oh, it's playing an advert, that's why. That's cool. Hopefully that doesn't DMCA me before it even gets started. So let's have a look at release dates. And I just want to point out a few of the ones that I think are kind of interesting. A few of the things that I'm likely to be playing and stuff like that. And then, you know, we can chat about it. Let me know what you think about each of these games. I would be genuinely interested to see what everyone thinks about everything. So, if I do this, hopefully we should be able to see stuff. So what do we got coming out in March? It's now the 22nd. Oh, I can move my webcam a little bit to put it in a better place, I think, for this. Whoop. There we go. We even make it a bit bigger because we're just doing stuff like this. So we have this month, out of the games that have come out, Wolong Fallen Dynasty, I keep hearing good things about, and it's like people I respect keep saying that it's good, but I still have, I tried a demo, but I haven't played it since then. I've got it installed and I haven't played it yet. I really should get back to it at some point. And then Anno 1800 is the console release of Anno 1800. That came out last week. I'm kind of up for playing that on console, but I don't think it's on Game Pass or anything, is it? I'm just not sure if I'd pay to play Anno on console. If I could get a copy, if Ubisoft will send me a copy, maybe I will. But it's not really something I want to stream. I just want to play Anno because Anno is super addictive. For anyone who doesn't know, it's like a city builder, obviously in the 19th century. It's a city builder, and I think it's set in like you're in the new world, like you're in the colonies and stuff like that. And you have to do the whole thing of building up an economy, building up, you know, resource gathering and then resource refining and trying to keep people happy and then put security in. And then you have to worry about a navy and trying to like fight off people and trade between islands but not get attacked by pirates and stuff. It's really cool. I really enjoyed it. It's really a fun game. Then Deceive Inc. came out last week as well. I only just learned about Deceive Inc. yesterday. Deceive Inc. is this fun kind of 3v3 spy thing by the looks of it, where it's like you have to go complete a mission and you can use stealth and stuff like that, but there's like 3 other teams of 3 players each that are all trying to do the same thing, and so you're trying to like out stealth each other, hack things and stuff like that, make life difficult for them while completing your mission. I like the idea of it a lot. It does worry me a little bit that it's going to end up being like Hood, which was a Robin Hood game that came out, I don't know, 2 years ago, maybe a year ago. And that seemed like a really cool idea because that was like 2 teams stealthing to try and complete an objective against each other. But it literally just turned into a deathmatch. Like there was no way for them to encourage the stealth side of it. It was just kind of fighting. Yeah, well, I'll try and find a trailer for it. It was, yeah, the Fortnite thing. Oh, that's why that's happening. Okay. So let me just pull up a trailer for this and see what's going on. Deceive Inc. So yeah, I literally watched this trailer yesterday. Deceive Inc. launch trailer. We'll watch the PlayStation trailer. Because this is on consoles as well. And yeah, I thought this was kind of interesting. There's stuff I don't like the look of. Like the shooting looks terrible because there's a lot of them just standing still shooting each other, which is not a good idea, I don't think.
To acquire the package and extract with it, preferably alive.
They will never see me coming. Perfect.
Completely unnoticed.
Position secured. Stay frosty.
One last mission. Let's make it count.
Perfect spot.
I can't tell whether the characters all have their own abilities. I assume that's what's going on here. So yeah, one of them's got like this umbrella, one of them's got a crossbow, one of them's got a pistol, one of them's got a slingshot.
What?
Bye-bye.
So yeah, the like movement and shooting looks
You know
bad,
what to do.
but the idea of the game looks really interesting, I think.
Beautiful work.
So yeah, 3v3v3,
extract.
so that's 3 teams of 3.
Got myself a moving target. So sorry.
And it's teleporting and stuff like that.
Impossible.
Hiding as
Sucks to be
props.
you.
And then I think, yeah, and then they even do 4 teams of 3, which
Leave
just
it to
seems
me.
crazy. Good morning, Steph. How's it going?
Extraction vehicle has
Trying
arrived.
something a bit new today. Trying a more podcasty type
Booyah!
video.
Voila. Mission complete.
We'll see whether that works the way I'd like it to. So that was Deceiving, which I think is kind of, yeah, it looks kind of interesting to me. But you know, we'll see. I might play it at some point. It's one of those things where if there's not many people playing it, then it'll just kind of die horrifically. Like I said, Hood was a really good idea, I think, and it was fun. It was like quite polished and stuff. But it was just like they hadn't quite got the design right to the point where people didn't play it the way I think it was designed to play necessarily. Well, not even that actually. Like, because some of the characters were meant to be stealthy. And all of the trailers showed this idea of like, oh, you're going to be stealthing until it all goes wrong and then you're going to fight. But it's like basically everyone would just rush the objectives because being fast helped. And then they would just fight straight away. Like, there was no point in doing any of the stealth stuff. And it was like, because they didn't encourage that stealth stuff, I think that kind of made it boring and the player count just plummeted, which absolutely sucked. Anyway, I don't know these other games. Then we've got, in 2 days, we've got Resident Evil 4 coming out. I don't know if people in chat are planning on playing the Resident Evil 4 remake. I played the demo and was a little bit like, oh, I remember this game. As in, like, I played a demo and it felt exactly the same. It's not free to play. Sorry, oh, Deceiving. No, I don't think so. I think you have to buy it. Which, you know, is a difficult thing. Like, I understand the argument that everything should be free to play like that. You know, like a multiplayer game that's a bit of a novelty, something a bit different, and you need a healthy population should be free to play in order to get it. But on the other hand, you see lots of people complaining about microtransactions and battle passes and games as a service and stuff like that. That's all because games are free to play, and like that's how free to play games can make a bunch of money. So it's like, I kind of like the idea of there being a game that costs a certain amount of money and then you get the game. Like, I think that's a good idea. It's just kind of convincing people to spend, you know, 20 quid, 30 quid, 40 quid on a game that they've never heard of and they haven't tried before is super rough. It's super difficult. It's why, and I'll keep on saying this forever, I think subscriptions are the way forwards. I think the subscription model makes so much sense. It's like, it with different media things, you think like, it worked for books, first of all. Lots of people who read a lot will tell you, buying books when they come out is kind of dumb and expensive, because most books, you'll read them once and then put them away and never read them again. And they'll just sit on the shelf and take up space. I know some people have massive bookshelves and they like that. But generally, people who actually like reading rather than people who just like owning books will have a library subscription because it makes sense and it's free, which makes it a lot easier in this country at least. I don't know, is it free in like all places? Is it free in America to have a library subscription? I don't even know. Anyway, and then like it happened to music where like I grew up buying albums and that was expensive. You know, to buy 10 songs, it was about £10, you know, sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less. And you would buy like this one CD that eventually might get scratched and stuff like that. But it's like one CD that you would listen to in order, or sometimes you could put it on shuffle and stuff like that. Or before then, you know, you'd buy tapes. You'd buy all of that, and that would get expensive. That like you wouldn't buy that many new albums because it just costs so much money. And it did mean there was some cool effects of it. Like you would have a really healthy like secondhand thing where you could go around like car boot sales stuff and find some cool CDs for cheap, and all like that side of it was good. But then stuff like Spotify came out and it's like, oh, you can pay £10 a month and listen to all of the music. Like whatever you want, all of the new stuff that comes out, you can just listen to it whenever you want. You can make playlists, you can share playlists, all of this stuff. People were like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. I should do that instead. And then you had like, the same thing happened with films and TV, where, you know, I know people used to have like kind of subscriptions anyway to cable and stuff like that. But then people would, you know, people used to buy DVDs. That used to be a thing I'd grow up with. People would buy videos and then they'd buy DVDs. And a DVD could end up being like 15, 20 quid, depending on what it was. You know, some things were like £10, and then some of them got more and more expensive, especially when like Blu-rays and stuff came out. And it was like, again, you're paying like 20 quid to watch one thing that you might watch once. Like, you know, you might watch it a handful of times. It just seemed insanely expensive. And then people brought out things like Netflix and Amazon Prime and Apple TV and stuff like HBO. And it's like, hey, you can watch this like cinema quality stuff in your house and you pay £10 a month. And people were like, oh, this is better because now I get to watch loads of stuff. And it's like with gaming, like it started happening. Like you've got things like, obviously you had, was it EA the first ones to do it? The subscription? Because you had like Origin Access or EA Access or whatever it was called. And you had Ubisoft Plus. And then you had Game Pass, obviously. And Game Pass was like just amazing. Where it's like, hey, there's this massive group of games you can play for £10 a month. And like now it's, you know, you can play them on Xbox, you can play them on PC, your progress will swap over. These are brand new games when they come out. They're still added to this. It's like super cool. And it's like, and then, you know, I know now there's PlayStation is doing it with PlayStation Plus and kind of did it with PlayStation Now. And other people have tried it with streaming games and stuff like that. But it's like, to me, that's a much better model. If like the developers are getting a steady income and their main interest, like the developers' main kind of focus, I would assume, and this is, you know, as a complete outsider looking in, their main focus would be to make a high quality game, a game that's good and people like, because then the platform holder, you know, Microsoft or Netflix or PlayStation or whoever, is going to be like, hey, we should keep you on and pay for more of your games because people like your games. It doesn't, and you know, you want as many people as possible to play your games, but you don't need to keep them playing it necessarily for a very long time. You know, it doesn't matter if someone released a video game that everyone loved, everyone adored, and you would play for 2 hours a week in perpetuity, that would be just as valuable to Game Pass, I think, as a game that encouraged you to play for 20 hours a week. Because the point is, you're keeping your subscription to keep on playing. Like, that's the point of it. Like, if you keep a subscription to play that game, that's valuable. So then games won't be as bloated as they are. Like, right now, games have this idea that, particularly multiplayer games, have this idea that they want you to play for as long as possible. So then you are more likely to buy their microtransactions and you're more likely to not play other games. You're more likely to just play their games. So then the spending money that you sort of put aside to spend on games is more likely to go to them. Like, that's kind of how the game model works. And that means you get things like battle passes that take like 45 hours to complete and you've got 2 months to do it. And it means that you get things like, you know, ridiculous grinds in games where it's like, hey, you need to keep coming back all the time and you need to put hours in all the time in order to keep up with this, you know, like the events and stuff in Call of Duty. And it's like, if they just got rid of that and had a subscription where it's like, hey, if you want to play this like this week, you need a subscription. And then you can even do fun things with the subscription. Like you can do free trials. So a game like that, Deceiving, you can say like, hey, you can play it for a week for free. Like you can play this game for free for the first week. And then if you want to keep on playing it, you need to start paying the subscription. And the subscriptions could be anything. You know, you can have massive things like Game Pass for collections of games. Or I would argue, and again, I've said this many, many times, a game like Call of Duty could justify its own subscription. Like a game as big as Call of Duty, I think you could get people to pay £10 a month to play Call of Duty. Just the same as people have been paying £9 a month for World of Warcraft for ages, or Final Fantasy XIV for ages, or, you know, people used to with like EverQuest and stuff. It's like, you can get people to pay for a subscription for a game. And then all of the content within that game could be included. Like, I know World of Warcraft actually does have some, like, microtransactions and stuff. Like, I know they exist in World of Warcraft. You can buy some cosmetics, you can buy some mounts, you can buy some services, stuff like that. But out of all the people that I know that play a lot of World of Warcraft, they don't often buy anything like that. And the game doesn't ever push you towards them. When you're playing the game, you don't get things popping up being like, hey, you could buy this mount if you want for like 15 quid, whatever. So it's like, those games like just justify the subscription price by being like, hey, you know, we want you to play this for a long while. We want you to play this regularly. But in actual fact, I don't feel like they even need to make you play it a lot. They just need to, in individual sessions, they just want you to keep on logging in every week or every month. And I think that could be really good for games. Like, imagine in Call of Duty, if you just paid a subscription, you paid £10 a month, and for that you got like Warzone, you got multiplayer, you got Spec Ops or whatever, or zombies, whatever. And after that, there weren't any battle passes, there wasn't any bundles or things like that. Instead, it was like you pay your £10 a month, and then every week there's some challenges in the different modes where you can get one of those things, one of those cosmetics. And it's like, if you want to get all of the cosmetics, then you probably are going to be logging in every week to play for a few hours. And if you don't want to, if you don't care about missing them, then you miss them. And then maybe do something where, like, after you've missed the challenge, then they can charge a bit of money for it. So, like, put it in like an archive where, just so you don't have too serious FOMO, it's like, oh, you can do this challenge this week for free, or you can pay, 10 quid, whatever it is, for it, like, in the future. I think that would be super cool. I just think that would be really good. It would mean that people who just enjoyed playing the game could just focus on enjoying it and not have all of like these stupid bundles and stuff. You wouldn't need the game to be bloated for like no reason, just having stupid grinds and stuff like that to try and keep you hooked. It would just be about the quality of the game and the game being good. At least that's in my mind. That's how it would work. And to be honest, I am, as someone that, as many of you will know, I'm intensely arrogant about my opinions. I think that that's what's going to happen. I think that's what we're going to move towards. I mean, you've already seen like subscriptions are becoming a massive thing, like with Game Pass and PlayStation Plus and Ubisoft Plus and stuff like that. I think we're just moving towards the point where people just accept subscriptions and people decide, okay, this month these are the games I'm going to play. I'm going to get a subscription. And if you want to play a big variety of games, you go for something like Game Pass. If you want to just play one particular game, you go for something big like Call of Duty or Final Fantasy or whatever. I just think that makes sense to me. It doesn't make sense so much for single player games. And like, this is something that I was listening to, I forgot what it's called, like Play, Watch, Listen something, the Alana Pierce and Troy Baker podcast. And on their podcast, they were bringing up a really interesting point where they were saying, like, people are always saying, fans are always saying, why don't companies put loads of money into single player games anymore? Like, why are there less single player games? Why aren't we getting tons of new games like BioShock and Deus Ex and Thief and stuff like that? You still get occasional ones like The Last of Us Part 2 and God of War and Horizon. Like, it still does happen, but it's less. And they were saying, like, why is that? And it's like, look at the money. Like, for the same investment, say you're going to spend $100 million on a game. For that same amount of money, you could make something like God of War and maybe make back like $120 million. Or you could make something like Call of Duty and make billions of dollars. It's like the potential revenue that you get back from a multiplayer live service game with microtransactions and battle passes and stuff like that is insanely huge if it works, compared to a single player game where you still have the same risk. Like, lots of single player games come out and just get forgotten about and no one cares. But the height of how much money you're going to make from it is still incredibly low. Like, think of the games that have done insanely well over the last few years, single player games that have just like blown people's minds, like God of War Ragnarok, Elden Ring, like Last of Us Part 2, Horizon Zero Dawn, stuff like that. How many of those games do you think made a quarter of the money that Call of Duty did in that year, or FIFA did, or Madden did, or NBA 2K did? Like, those games are like critically acclaimed masterpieces that took geniuses multiple years to create, and they're not making anywhere near the same kind of money that like FIFA does, even though it's kind of basically the same game every year. It's just like, it's a kind of amazing that companies still make those kind of games, because it's just not a good way to invest money. It's like, it doesn't make sense. Let's go back to chat. Sorry, I've been talking for a long while. So, Paul Stewart says, yay, Resident Evil 4 hype, possibly your favorite action horror game. I've still never finished Resident Evil 4, Paul. I bought Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube when it first came out, and I genuinely couldn't get past the bit, you know, where it's like a bit where you fall in a pit and there's like 3 chainsaw enemies, or maybe there's just 2, I don't know. But there was that. I couldn't do it. I just got killed by it, and I think I got killed by them like 3 or 4 times and gave up and just sold the game. I was just like, nope, this is hard. I'm not enjoying it. I didn't like the controls or anything. Didn't like it. Then I got it on the Wii when it came out on the Wii, when it was re-released, and that was much easier because you could aim with the thing, which made aiming much easier. Aiming on the GameCube controller sucked. But yeah, so then I played it on the Wii, and on the Wii, I got a bit further. I got up to the castle, some stuff going on with the castle. I can't really remember what was going on. But then I got to a point where you were constantly having to protect Ashley, and she was all the time getting like carried away, or I was having to constantly stop and hide her in a bin and all that sort of stuff. And I got so frustrated with that I stopped playing. I don't think I sold that. I think I've still got that. But I just stopped playing. I just didn't want to play it anymore. And then, yeah, then I haven't played it since. I didn't play any of the more modern remakes of it or anything like that. Because I just had a really bad kind of experience with it. But everyone always says like, oh, how amazing it is, how good the game is. So I feel like I will try it again. I'm hoping I'll get sent a copy this week, but we'll see. But yeah, I do want to try it again and give it another chance. And I've heard they've made some of the escorting Ashley stuff a little bit easier. Like she doesn't have a health bar anymore, so you don't need to give her your herbs or anything. So maybe I'll get back into it, but I'm dubious about it. Anyway, Affers, you remember the days of Game Station where you could buy a game then return it within 5 days if you didn't like it? Yeah, we had Game here. We've still got a shop called Game, but they used to have something like that where you could literally take back games if you didn't like it, like Steam does. You know, Steam does the refunds. And I remember the Path of Neo. I felt so smug when the Path of Neo came out. I was at uni when that came out, and I had a few days off, so I went and bought the game from Game, took it home, finished the entire game in one sitting, and then took it back the next day and was like, oh yeah, I didn't like it, and give me my money back. It was like, joke's on them, I did actually like it, but I got all my money back from it, so I got to play Path of Neo for free. That game is sick, by the way. I feel bad now, like now, because, you know, obviously now I'm an adult and I've got a bit more money. I would fully pay for that game because that was cool. But at the time, it was like, oh, it's awesome. You haven't bought a DVD in years. Yeah, I very rarely buy DVDs. The only time I buy DVDs now is when it's like some weird film that's not on streaming services. So like Shin Godzilla, I think, was the last film I bought because I don't think it was on Netflix or Amazon or anything like that. So I bought a copy of it. But yeah, generally I don't buy copies of DVDs and stuff. I think I bought the Clone Wars as well because that was before Disney Plus came out. So I was like adamant that everyone kept saying the Clone Wars was amazing. So I was like, right, I'm going to sit down and watch it. And I bought like the entire box set for like 50 quid with every episode of Clone Wars. And then I watched like 2 discs of it. And I was just like, no, this is a program for kids. I hate it. Anyway, you'd pay a sub for Call of Duty if it stopped the hackers. Yeah, you're never going to stop cheating in online video games. But I do think if there was a paid subscription, maybe there would be less. I think if people are paying anything, it's difficult though, because I used to think that was a big deal. I used to be like, even just a couple of years ago, I used to be like, oh, if people had to pay for Call of Duty, then obviously there would be less hackers because people wouldn't want to lose their account and lose all the money they've spent. But people pay for cheats. People pay quite a lot of money for cheats. Like some of the cheat services are like £10 a week and stuff, and it's like that's way more than what a subscription to Call of Duty would be. So if people are already willing to pay loads of money for cheats, I don't think adding a price to the game would make that much difference, sadly, which is a shame. You think cheating would be lower if a game were not free and you lost your account you paid for when you caught cheating, then again the player base would also be lower. Yeah, I mean, player base is a big deal. Like, player base is a massive deal. Like, games like Warzone and DMZ, I'd be really intrigued to see what the player base would be like if it wasn't free to play. Like, would it be, you know, I've got no idea. Would the player base be like 80% as big? Would it be like 10% as big? Like, I've got no idea where the scale is there. I know it's like, I'm always surprised at how few people played Blackout. Like, when I talk to people who play a lot of Call of Duty, there's loads of people who I talk to who are really into Call of Duty. And then I go on about Blackout because I loved it. And people are like, oh, like, yeah, I never gave that a go. And it's like, really? That seems shocking. Whereas now, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who plays Call of Duty who hasn't played Warzone. Like, that would be strange. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Blackout didn't have crossplay and stuff like that, and it didn't have the advertising behind it that Warzone did. But yeah, I'd be interested to know how much it affects the player base. I had a brief conversation with a Call of Duty developer last year, and it was just in like Twitter DMs talking about some stuff. And one of the things that really surprised me, like they were responding to a tweet where I had said, I think I'd been annoyed that when Vanguard came out, that they didn't have party games. You know, they didn't have like gun game, and they didn't have you know, prop hunt and one in a chamber and sticks and stones and all of the stuff that I really like playing in multiplayer. And I was like, oh, you know, this sucks. Why don't they have this stuff? And they were saying to, I was like, I think I speculated in a tweet, like, oh, it's obviously so with each season, they can just like announce a new game mode as if it's a new feature, even though we had it before. You know, I was being very cynical like that. And then this developer reached out to me and was chatting to me and was saying that, like, the real reason is that the player count isn't there to support lots of different multiplayer modes. That, like, it's not that there aren't lots of people playing Call of Duty. Obviously, there are a ton of people playing Call of Duty, but there's not a lot of people playing anything other than Team Deathmatch and Domination. So it's like, Team Deathmatch and Domination is like 90% of the player base are playing that at any given time. So then all of the other modes, you're splitting up that remaining 10% who are the people who are kind of willing to try. And you think out of that other 10%, and by the way, I'm making these numbers up. I can't remember what the exact numbers were, but it was something on this kind of order of magnitude. And it's like, that 10%, you're going to have some people that only play Search and Destroy, aren't you? Like some people who are just super into the competitive side. And you're going to have some people who only play free-for-all and some people who only play hardcore. And then you've got out of like, say we've got 5% left. Then you've got the people who are willing to try new modes. And if you launched a game and you had like Kill Confirmed and Grind and Gun Game and Sticks and Stones and Capture the Flag and Uplink and whatever, then like the people in those playlists are going to have terrible matchmaking. Like, you know, they're either going to have terrible connections where it's going to be super laggy because it's going to have to match them up with people a long way away, or they're going to have really, really long matchmaking times, waiting until enough people in their region are willing to play it. And they're going to have really bad skill-based matchmaking because there's going to be less people to choose from. So you're not going to be able to get people who are around your level. Instead, you're going to get some people who are way worse, some people who are way better. You're going to have full teams going up against solo players. It's like really bad. So to kind of limit that, they only like feature one new game mode every like season or so, or every half a season. So loads of people play that playlist at once because it's the new thing. And then that means like there's a good matchmaking experience for it, at least at the beginning. And then if no one's playing it later, they can kind of quietly remove it, which I think they do quite a lot. They just sort of like quietly be like, oh, no one's playing Capture the Flag anymore. We'll just take that out of the available playlists. Or they add things like Mosh Pit, where I imagine the purpose of Mosh Pit from their end is kind of filling the gaps for people who are searching stuff. You know, if you've got 0.5% of your player base playing Capture the Flag, but then you've got 4% of your player base playing a Mosh Pit playlist, then they can fill in those Capture the Flag games with people from the Mosh Pit playlist. I assume that's how that works. You know, that's how Destiny works. In Destiny, there's loads of times where you have to do what's called a strike, which is like a free-player dungeon. And there is loads of times in the story where you have to do that. And you kind of need extra people to play. You can do them solo, but like really you want 3 people in them. And obviously, most people go through the story in the first week, and then like there's not many people doing it after that. So they have like a weekly playlist where you get some really good gear if you do 3 random strikes. And obviously it uses those random strikes to like put you into the playlist to like fill up for the people that are going through the story to like pad out their matchmaking, which is a really smart idea. It's really clever. But it does mean that I think that's why Call of Duty lacks a lot of modes. I've forgotten why I started talking about this, but that was cool. Anyway, FIFA or Madden will be the first game to go to a service model. I mean, not the first game, because loads of games are already a service model. Like, you know, you think Fortnite is, World of Warcraft is, Final Fantasy 14 is, Terror is, Black Desert is. Most MMOs tend to be, but there's a few other games that are that sort of thing. Remember Zombies DLCs? They must have earned some dollars, but you really enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, the problem with Zombies DLC With all Call of Duty DLC, to be honest, it's never been different. And the Battlefield developers talked about this quite a lot with the Battlefield DLC. The problem with it was always that if your friends didn't have it, you couldn't play those maps. So you just ended up playing the base maps because not all of your friends would have it. So it's like, if you're the sort of person that plays with friends, it kind of made it really, really hard to like keep on playing all of those things. So, you know, the Call of Duty map packs, it's like you'd get all of these cool multiplayer maps and new zombies maps, and then you get on with your friends and they'd be like, oh yeah, I haven't bought it yet. So it's like, okay, let's play in the normal playlist. Well, let's play the old zombies maps. And I think like they saw a lot less, they saw people buying them and then not playing those maps, which, you know, is probably fine for them, but it's not, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. I think making the maps and stuff free was a good idea. You know, it's crazy that we haven't actually had that many Call of Duty games with zombies in. Like what, we had Vanguard and Black Ops Cold War. Is that it? Where we haven't had expansions to pay for? Where you just got all of the zombies maps for free. And obviously Vanguard was terrible. But yeah, I mean, that was really cool. I think that was good. That was a good idea of theirs. Is that an Epiphone behind? I think we got the same guitar. Yeah, I've got an Epiphone Les Paul there. And then I've also got, this is an Ibanez Electroacoustic. I used to have a Gibson SG, but I sold it. It's a story for another time that I've told many times before, actually. Hey man, just want to say you love my DMZ and raids content. Thank you very much, Nate. Yeah, I mean, I'm not, like, this whole video, this whole stream thing that I'm doing now isn't me saying, like, I'm never going to play DMZ again, or I'm never going to do the raids again. It's more just, I don't know if I want to do it every day. Like, anyone who's watched my last 2 streams in DMZ will know I had fun for like 2 hours or so. And then I kind of got a bit bored. Like, I kind of got a bit frustrated because things weren't going well. Some of the later missions in DMZ are super annoying and just not that fun to play. So I kind of just like burnt out of it on it, I think. So I would rather go play those games when I had something new to look at, and not feel like I had to play them for 3 hours every morning. You know, I'd rather be like, oh, hey, there's something I want to try, so I'm going to hop into Call of Duty and have a go at this. And then also feel free to do it in other games. So that's kind of, like I said, if this sort of podcast type live stream thing works on YouTube, I might just keep doing this kind of thing. I would really like to be able to hop on every morning with this kind of video and just talk to you guys, and then if there's something I want to play, like today I probably will hop into DMZ because I want to check out the Shredder bundle, so I'll buy the Shredder bundle, we'll play a bit of that, we'll have a look at it, that'll be fun. And then tomorrow maybe we'll be playing something else. Maybe I'll be like, hey, there's a patch for Kerbal Space Program, we're going to play a little bit of that, or there's an update for Sons of the Forest, let's have a look at that. I would much rather do that and then not have like the title and the thumbnail and a description all be focused to one game, because now I can kind of change my mind and I can play a few games. I've always been super jealous of like Dr. Disrespect and Tim the Tatman and people like that, for lots of reasons, obviously, mostly the huge amount of followers and money they have. But one of the big things is that, like, when you watch their streams, it's just a Dr. Disrespect stream. It's a Tim the Tatman stream. And even if they say they're going to play Call of Duty or whatever, a lot of the time, like, I remember Dr. Disrespect's Elden Ring streams, he'd play Elden Ring for a couple of hours and then he'd just go and play something else. He'd just, like, start playing Call of Duty, or he'd start playing Fortnite or whatever. And it's like, I would really like to be able to have a stream that's much more the Geeky Pastimes stream. And we will probably be playing Call of Duty, but we might also be playing something else. And like that to me would be much better, you know. Then I could hop into a game like Wo Long or something like that, and that'd be cool. Oh, I'm glad, Nate. Yeah, I'd love to build an audience, people who just like chatting. And then, you know, we can do sort of lots more interaction. I can answer questions and stuff, which is cool. Any plans for a Veteran Atomgrad episode 2 walkthrough like I did for the first one? Not really. I've spoken to a few people that did the veteran mode of Atomgrad Part 2. I haven't actually tried it yet. I've spoken to a few people that did it, and the consensus seems to be it's basically exactly the same. It's like not that much harder at all. I think that bit where you have to split up is a little bit harder, and the sprint through at the end, but it's not like a guide would be fundamentally different. It would just be, you know, be a bit more careful, maybe. Maybe think about, like, you know, having people having the assault gear so, like, they can use the armor thing and when they're fighting off by themselves. maybe paying attention to where some of the enemies spawn from, because like when you're fighting by yourself, they all spawn up on the balcony. So it's like kind of doing a bit of that, but there's not much to say about it. And I don't really like making videos where I don't have anything useful to say. Sometimes I do it, but I don't really like it. Afas said you'd imagine it's team deathmatch, domination, hard point, search and destroy, and everything else. Yeah, I do think, Afas, that search and destroy is a long way behind them. I think the search and destroy crowd are very vocal, and because obviously it's a big part of CDL, it gets a lot more attention. But I don't think many people play search and destroy, in part because you need a team to play it really. Like if you're playing solo search and destroy, that's going to be a miserable time. I just don't think many people play it. I think this is true for basically everything in Call of Duty. And I would say any game. It's something that I never really thought about when I was younger. That anything that requires you to have a group of people to play with, most people won't ever play. Like, so Destiny, the raids, like Call of Duty, the raids, although now I know there's a kind of a matchmaking type thing for it. Things like search and destroy, where it's like it's only really fun if you've got a group. All of that kind of content, I think it's a tiny percentage of people who actually play them. The zombies Easter eggs where you actually need a group to do them. People just don't do them because most people can't find other people to play games with. And it's like, it's a sad fact. And I think it's like, to me, it's one of the biggest like opportunities in gaming that someone could make a tool or some platform could make something that works well with it. And I think they will at some point, but someone I think could make a bunch of money by fixing that problem. It's why I did that sponsorship with GamerLink for so long, not just because they kept giving me money, but also it was like something I firmly believe in. There used to be a tool for Destiny called Destiny LFG, and they've kind of wrapped that up into the main Destiny app now. There's been a few other services in the past that have tried the same thing, but like getting normal adults to talk to strangers and play games with them is super hard. And you can understand why. I mean, I'm sure all of us sitting here can 100% understand why. It's because a lot of people who play games a lot online are weird. Like, they're just weird, aren't they? You've got like a really high percentage of weirdos. So it's just the same as if you were like, oh, I really want to play pool. I'm going to go down to my local pool hall and just play against some random people. You know there's going to be a lot of weirdos. And it's like, no one wants to be, I mean, I don't know, a lot of the people are themselves the weirdos. But even if you're a weirdo, you don't want to be playing with other weirdos. But I've had the problem that, like, when I've done Destiny raids with LFG, sometimes I've been streaming them, and I'll join a random group, and loads of times, like literally, I would say over half the time I've done it, I've been playing with them for like 10 minutes, and then someone says something really sexist, someone makes some like racist joke, someone starts being like just really obnoxious in some other way. You've got someone breathing really heavily down the mic the whole time, or like their family shouting in the background, or you've got someone who's like super unreliable and is constantly going AFK. And it's like, it's really hard to find like-minded people to play games with. Like, unbelievably hard. And like, I think so anything like search and destroy, like the raids and stuff like that, where you need other people to play with, it just doesn't happen very often. Like, just people don't do it, and that's really sad. It's a real issue. But yeah, it's gonna be something that I think someone can fix. Like, I know how I would do it, but it's worryingly similar to a Black Mirror episode, which I don't know if that's a good basis for a company, is to make something where you think like, yeah, this is like Black Mirror. But if anyone's seen, my favorite episode of Black Mirror is Nosedive, which is the one Bryce Dallas Howard was in. And basically, in Nosedive, everyone gets rated for everything. Everyone has a score and they're ranked for everything. You know, they're given star ratings for every little interaction you have with people. I would like to make an app where you have a profile and you, at any given time, you say like, hey, I fancy doing this in Destiny, or I fancy doing this in Diablo. and it would constantly be updated with whatever the new games are, with whatever the new activities are, which would be a job in itself. And then if you group up with some people, you all rate each other. And you all say, like, yeah, his mic quality was good, or his mic quality was terrible, or her, like, she was always on time, or she was later than she said she'd be, or they were really, really good at the game, or they took the game too seriously, or whatever. Just have, like, a few different things, all not like leaving comments, but like star ratings. And then when you want to play a game, you can see reviews of people and you can be like, oh, that person looks all right. And then all the people that are weirdos will get, like, weeded out eventually. Problem is, I can imagine having my feelings hurt when someone said that, like, my mic was bad quality, or, like, said that I was trying too hard at the game or whatever. But I would love something like that. I know in Nosedive it sends people into a spiral where it's like suddenly you get locked out of the online gaming community because, you know, your star ratings dropped below a certain level. But I'd love it. And you could report people on it. You could be like, this person was being racist. Like, this person was being sexist. This person thing. And you wouldn't have proof for any of those things, but the system could log it and be like, okay, maybe we should, like, not encourage people to group up with these people. And, you know, if you were good, if you were, like, friendly, you were helpful, you were talking well, you were on time, all of that stuff, then you'd be up near the top of the results whenever someone was looking for a game. Your games would be like high. People could click on your profile and be like, this person's like a, you know, 4.5-star player. They're going to be fine. This person's like a 1-star player, but we're desperate, so we're going to take them because, like, they're going to be crap, but, like, oh, well, we'll just mute them and bring them. I would love something like that. I think that would be a really good idea. Yeah, social media for gamers. And people have tried it. Like, I know GamerLink has a thing, you know, like, has the similar thing of setting up, like, when you want to play games. But there's the big problem with GamerLink for me was just that you have no idea what the person's like who you're doing it. And the problem with, like, Destiny's app and the World of Warcraft versions and stuff like that is that all you have to go on is that player's, like, in-game stats, and obviously there's ways to pad out your stats and there's ways to, like, make it look better. I just think there's, like, a social rating would be good. Like, for example, when I get an Uber, we only ever get Uber in the US because we don't actually have Uber where I live in the UK. But when we're in Florida, we use Uber all the time to get everywhere. And I always, you know, sort of like put out the thing, and I'm always a bit nervous, being like, oh, it could be anyone, like, we're scared. And then it comes up with who's going to be picking you up, and they've got like 4.9 stars with 4,000 ratings. And suddenly I'm like, there's so much relief. I'm just like, oh, okay, well, it's like 4,000 people said that this guy was all right. Like, that makes me feel better. That makes me willing to get in their car. And the same thing, if I was, like, wanting to do search and destroy in Call of Duty, and I was like looking for search and destroy teams, and I saw there was a team of people that all had high ratings for just being friendly, I'd be like, oh, cool, this will probably be a good time. Like, that'd be good. Yeah, yeah, I remember the Xbox thing, like the reputation thing. I think that's still there, isn't it? There's still a reputation thing in Xbox. But no, the problem with that AFAS is, to me, I mean, like you say, like, you can get, like, the downvoting, the mass downvoting and stuff. There are ways to manipulate it. You'd have to have some protections about, like, getting lots of reviews all at once and stuff like that would be bad. You know, people found a streamer on there and they'd just, like, downvote them into oblivion. But anyway, I mean, you could just do things like have it so if someone hadn't grouped up with you on the app, then they can't do it. Then they can't give you a rating. That would make sense. But anyway, the problem with it being an Xbox thing is that I think, you know, the future of most multiplayer gaming is crossplay. You know, you look at all of the big multiplayer games now, they're all crossplay. Like, why? Well, you know, other than PC games, I guess. But, yeah, like, you can't do something on PlayStation or on Xbox or on Steam or on Battle.net anymore. Like, it has to be someone else. To me, and again, this is me, like, just speculating wildly on what I would like, and I've got no way of making this happen. Discord are the obvious ones. Why not set it up in Discord? Why not have Discord have that? To be honest, I reckon you could set it up in Discord. I reckon you could make a channel that would do this in Discord. But it'd be complicated and over my head how to do it. But yeah, I think Discord, because then it's got the voice chat stuff built in already. Just do it so, like, you say into Discord, hey, I want to do this in this game. You've got your game profile linked to it. People can have a look and be like, hey, I also want to do this in this game. And then they can see you, and if you had like a social rating thing on there, they could be like, hey, this person's like communicates well, they're always on time, they're really friendly, so I'm going to join up with them. And in Discord, rather than you having to be in like a specific server with them, it automatically creates a channel for you, and then you play with them, and then when you're done, you rate each other, and then the channel closes. And maybe you have to rate them to get the channel to close. Cool. It'd be awesome. Sad thing is that'll never happen. I mean, I've been doing a little bit of web development learning. I'm sure if Maida's still about, I'm sure me and Maida can make it happen. Me and Maida have had loads of ideas for things we should make. I think that'd be cool. So just going back up, I know I've skipped a couple of things. What Nate just said a little while ago. Glad you can see that it's weird how most streamers and videos act like you're the problem if you don't have friends to play with, and act like it's a super easy thing to do. This is something that, like, you're definitely right, but also that's not true. So, kind of. Like, streamers definitely act like it's easy to get friends to play with. And this is why I always thought I was the weird one. That I was always annoyed that there's so many games that have, like, private game functions. That I'm like, I'd love to do this, but it's just too hard to find people to play. Even as a streamer, I was like, you know, when Need for Speed Most Wanted, Need for Speed Most Wanted remake came out, I wanted to get some groups to play that. Split Second, I wanted to get groups to play that. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, I'd love to get some private games of that going, like just Warzone and stuff. I'm always like, oh, it'd be awesome to do this. It'd be awesome to get groups together, but I've never been able to. And I always thought, oh, there's something wrong with me. You know, I'm too antisocial. I'm too mean to everyone. That's why it's not working. And then the more I've got like into kind of the streamer world and got to know people, everyone has this problem. Like bloody like Jack Frags can have this problem. Like Mr. Waffle Waffles can have this problem. Syndicate can have this problem. Where sometimes finding other people to play with is really, really hard. If you didn't care who you were playing with, then someone on their level can obviously find people. You know, they could fill up a private game if they wanted to. But in general, it's super hard, and you have to put a ton of energy into finding people. Like, I'm part of a couple of Discords of people who play Call of Duty and stuff, like streamers who play Call of Duty, where they've made specific Discords to try and, like, line up their timetables and try and make sure, you know, they're doing it at the same time to go for, like, nuke runs and stuff like that. And it's hard. Like, it's really hard, even for people that know loads of other adults who play games all day full time. Even for them, it's really hard. So for someone who, like, just plays video games in the afternoon after work, it's like must be almost impossible to find other people. I still like the idea of games needing other people. Like, I like the idea that The Division is based around there being 3 people in your squad. I like the idea that DMZ is based around there being 3 people in your squad. And lots of people are always like, oh, well, like, how can I solo this? How can I do it solo? And I'm always a bit like, you shouldn't really. Like, not you shouldn't, but like, it shouldn't be easy for you to do that. Like, that's not the way it's designed, and I'm happy it's not the way it's designed to. But the industry is massively lagging behind on finding ways to get people to play together. And it's like some games do it really easily. So, like, some games, you don't need to talk to other people. So, like, Destiny, you can do the strikes without ever, or Gambit and stuff. You don't need to talk to people, so it just matchmakes you. Same with Warzone, you know, you can play quads in Warzone. It'll just group up a bunch of random people together. You can probably have an okay time. But some games are designed around there being a group of people communicating. And those games are awesome and the experience is awesome. But finding people is so hard. I was shocked with the Diablo beta last weekend. One of the things that I thought was really bad about it is that there's no LFG tool. There's no way to find other people to play with. Like, you can put out a thing saying, like, in your local game world, saying, hey, is there anyone that wants to do this? But there's only like 12 people on your server. So, like, chances are they're going to be doing their own thing in that area. So like, I was trying to do one of the harder things in the beta, which is like completing the strongholds. And it was difficult. Like, they were kicking my ass. And I literally spent like an hour trying to find other people to do it until I ended up just soloing it. Ended up just working out how to do it by myself. Because it was just like, there's no tool to just say like, hey, I want to do this. Like, this is the mission I want to do. Is there anyone else that's also trying to do this? And like a lot of MMOs and stuff have found ways to do that, but they still don't work very well for finding people to talk with. Destiny's probably got the closest. Destiny's doing pretty well because it's on the app. There's an official Destiny app. You can use that. You can say exactly what you want to do. You can see what level everyone else is. You press a button on the app and it invites people into your game, in the game. You don't have to like get people's names off an app and then go into the game and do it. It just automatically happens. It's awesome. It's like really cool. But like I said, you still end up finding a load of weirdos, which is why the social ranking thing would be good. Yeah, so Fogger just asked, am I going to put this stream out later? Yes, this is going to be on a VOD. There's a new feature on YouTube called Podcasts. This is the first episode of this. I'm doing it as a podcast. I'm sure over time I will get better at doing it as a podcast. So maybe in the future, people would even just be able to listen to this and enjoy it without having to see it. Because I know, you know, when I'm watching trailers and stuff like that, that's not going to be as good. And when I'm playing games and stuff, it probably won't be as good to listen to. But for now, we're going to do this as a podcast. And it will definitely, like, I'm not going to make this private or anything like that. So you should be able to listen to it for free, hopefully. Right, let's go back in the chat again. I keep on, like, scrolling past a load of your chat, and I'm very sorry about that. Right. Hutch does a lot of streams like this. Oh, what, where he's just talking. I really like Hutch's tweets. I've never watched Hutch streaming, but I really like his tweets. He does a lot of interesting stuff about politics, but also about like how ridiculous Call of Duty and gaming communities can be, and Destiny and stuff like that. A lot of the time when you have a stream on, it's noise in the background. You're not watching anyway, so it's nothing just but chatting about the game. Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I tend to, if I'm watching a Warzone stream, I tend to have it on my other monitor when I'm like editing a video or something like that, and I'm generally just listening. Like, generally just listening. I mean, I would have to say, massive thanks to everyone that's turned out for this, and everyone that's liked the stream as well. But having 55 people turning out to watch something that has just been chatting for an hour, like I said, I might play a game at some point. I'm going to check out this Shredder bundle. But that's super cool to me. I would be so much happier. My mental health would be in a much better state if I just did this every day. Like, this is so much cooler. So if we can keep this going and keep getting people coming back to say hi, that's awesome. And we haven't even gone through the first... I sort of put a loose little agenda thing in my head of what we're going to talk about. And the first thing was what games are coming out in the next month. And we haven't even got to that yet. So going pretty well so far. I kind of want to keep all of these to being about 2 or 3 hours long. You know, maybe owing towards 2 hours, but we'll see how it goes. And just because then it's like easier to watch back. But yeah, it's really cool. I'd like in future, if this is successful, you know, we'll start turning it into more of a proper podcast. We'll have guests in, you know, sometimes I'll try and get Jack to come in and chat because obviously it's nice listening to him and chatting to him about stuff. We might get like, you know, I might get Syndicate to come on because he's got very different views to me on lots and lots of different things. I might just have like Flynn and Cobb and Scotto and people like that on just talking about stuff. Like, that'd be cool. I think I'd really enjoy that. That'd be cool. Anyway, so scrolling down, trying to see if there's anything else that people have said. You're a grumpy old sod. Your friends still can't believe you play video games online. Simon Nuttall. It's really, there's a super interesting kind of thing that's happened to me as I've got older. I'm going to be 37 in just over a week. And as I've got older, I've gone through so many different phases of video games. Of like, when I was a kid, video games were something where it's like, some video games were socially acceptable. Mario Kart, GoldenEye, people thought were fine. And then lots of video games people thought were for nerds. Like, that was just the thing, you know, it's super nerdy to be really into video games. And then as I got older, I kind of went in and out of playing lots of video games. And after university, I got a bit more into it. And then it became more and more socially acceptable. But I think that's because of the circle of friends I kept. The people in my life who weren't really into video games, I didn't tend to keep around very much, like, because most of my socializing was done through video games. So, you know, the people who you see come in the stream sometime, like Johnny, 50-Foot Snail, I know him from school. Like, he's a couple of years below me in school, and so we've known each other for a long time. He's one of the few people I know from that school still because of video games. And then, like, Emil, I met at university. He was one of Johnny's friends. Again, kept in touch with him because we play Call of Duty together. Name Gear, I actually used to work with his wife. But then, like, you know, I used to work with lots of people's spouses, but I keep in touch with him because we play video games together, probably. The Arrow, you know, met him and his wife at a party, end up keeping in touch with him lots of time because we play video games together. It's like I've kind of, as I've got older, I've made more of a friendship group that's based around the fact that we all play video games. So in my mind now, it's like, oh, I know loads of adults that play video games, but I also know loads of adults that don't have kids. And it's like, maybe that's just because I've been very self-selecting. And once people have had kids or stopped playing video games, they've kind of drifted out of my life, maybe. Maybe that's what's happening. But anyway, it's like definitely like, I think finding new adults to play with gaming is really, really tough. One thing that like I really love is when I know there's some people on my Discord. I don't have many people on my Discord. There's like hundreds of people on there, but there's only like, I'd say probably like 10 people who actually interact very much on my Discord. But there's a few people on there who I know didn't know each other before, and now they play together quite regularly because they met on my Discord. And like, that's super cool because, you know, they had like a passion for Easter eggs in common or whatever. And it's like, I really like that. Like, that's super cool that like people have found each other through my community. And now they're like friends who play games together a lot. Like, I think that's awesome. Yeah, so more of that. Man, I want to make that app now. Now I've got it stuck in my head. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Right, sorry, scrolling. You think people wouldn't say such trash if they're also held accountable after the fact? Yeah, for sure, Shorty Studio. Like, 100%. I think, like, holding people accountable for the stuff they do online is a big deal. And it's something like, you know, I've had lots of terrible ideas in the past. One that I always come back to, like my head always comes back to when I think of how to deal with toxicity, is that everyone should just have to use their real identity online. Like, to access anything online, make it so all of your Google accounts, everything like that, is completely tracked to your real life government ID. Now, I'm very aware that I'm in a very privileged situation where that wouldn't be a problem for me. But a big part of that is probably because I'm like a white, middle class, male, straight, like non-religious. I've got a lot of things that mean I would pass through lots and lots of filters completely fine, whereas I might be targeted a lot more if I was any kind of minority, which I'm just not. You know, I'm bald, I guess. I don't even know if that's a minority, to be honest. And it's like, I realize that because I'm speaking from a position of privilege, I don't have that perspective of, hey, I like, you know, I'm sure there's lots of people who like being able to go online and just be someone else without having to, you know, to have an online persona that's separate from the real one because it's safer for a lot of people, let alone just more comfortable. You know, and that's like a big thing that I don't really get. But I would like it if there was more real life consequences. So if you said something online, people were like, you know, we know who you are. If you're being racist online, you're going to get fined or go to jail. Like, you shouldn't be being racist online. I don't know. But yeah, people shouldn't listen to my ideas, is what I'm saying. But Stephen Foster applied to Shorty Studio and said, people that trash talk, etc., wouldn't be bothered about their rating. I don't think that's true if your rating stops you from being in some groups. Like, if it made it so if you being obnoxious online in these groups made it so people were less likely to pick you in the future, you would just be decent for the sake of keeping your rating good. Like, you would just shut up and not be that way because you'd be like, oh, if I do that, then I'm not going to be able to find a group for next week's raid or whatever. You know, you see it with Uber. Again, going back to the Uber thing, there's loads of people who I imagine, you know, every Uber driver I've ever had in Florida has been super polite, super friendly, and their car's been super clean. I think that's probably because of the rating thing, because they're all scared of getting a low rating. So they make an effort to just like get a good rating to be nice to you. So it's like the system's working. It doesn't really matter that whether the niceness is genuine or not, whether they would actually keep their car clean otherwise or not. It doesn't matter because they do because of that. It's the same thing I always say, you know, people talk about, well, I go to Florida a lot for Disney World. And people always talk about, you know, oh, well, you know, like the happiness and friendliness in the staff in Disney World is all fake, isn't it? Like they're not actually happy to see you. They're just doing it because they're told to. And it's like, yeah, I know, but they're still being friendly and cheerful with me and it's a happy place. Like, I know it's not real. It doesn't matter. It's like, that's the same sort of thing. Like, you know, you go to a restaurant and the waiter's nice to you. It's not because they like you. It's because that's their job to be nice to you. You know, you're paying for an experience where someone is being nice to you. And, you know, occasionally it might be genuine. Occasionally it might not be. Doesn't matter. You know, I think there probably is a problem with people who don't realize that it's fake. I always used to have a thing when I went to game conventions when I was young. You know, I just used to go to like what's now EGX, the Eurogamer Expo and stuff like that. And you'd get, back then, you'd get like what were referred to as booth babes, where basically game companies and publishers would hire models to be standing around when you played the video games, and they would chat to you and they would like essentially flirt with you, really, and like be all smiley and be like really attentive and stuff. To again, this is quite a long time ago, so most of the people who were attending these things were just nerds. You know, they were just people who were like super antisocial. A lot of, like, I know it's a horrible stereotype, but it's true. A lot of them smelt really bad. A lot of them really overweight. It was like not the world's finest people, not the world's most eligible bachelors going to these events. And then you'd have these like beautiful women being all sort of like fawning over them and stuff. And then you got some people like taking that hospitality as if it was like genuine interest, as if like, oh, these people were really into them. And it's like, this is just a service. Like, this is just something that has been paid for. This is like paid for friendliness. And as soon as you start blurring the line and thinking it's genuine, there's something, you know, that's really scary. Like, that's something that could go really wrong. Thankfully, the games industry's moved on and you don't really get that sort of thing anymore. You still do get very friendly people in the booths who clearly aren't like game developers and stuff. They're just hired hospitality people. But at least it's not like the weird sexual flirty thing that it used to be. I'm glad that stopped. Again, I keep going on tangents and forgetting how I got here. So, scrolling down a bit. On my bit about subscriptions right now, you love subscriptions and play many different games and wouldn't have touched otherwise. Yeah, I love subscriptions. I love subscriptions. Absolutely cool. You're going to be 55 in just over a week. None of your friends your age play video games. You need different friends. I mean, we have some people in here that are over in their 60s that play video games. That definitely happens. Ailmen said be like China and use an ID. I mean, this is the danger of it. That like this is more going into Black Mirror territory. That for those of you who don't know, China has some system that's like your citizen score or something. I'm not sure whether it's all of China or whether it's just some cities or like how it works. But like obviously there's a risk with anything like that. That then people can suddenly decide that something that you do is unfavorable and hurt your life because of it. So in China, you know, it's like if your citizenship score goes down, as far as I'm aware, if it goes below a certain level, you like can't book into certain hotels, you can't get on certain flights, you can't like get, you know, go to certain events and stuff like that. And it's like if they suddenly decide, oh hey, anybody who has liked a Joe Biden tweet in the last, you know, year is now an unfavorable. Now you can't get flights anymore. Like that, you can see how that could be massively abused. Like you can see how that could go horribly wrong. And even with an online gaming thing, you know, if you have whoever's in charge of the rating system being like, oh, you played Hogwarts Legacy. Oh, well, that's a black mark on your account. You're not going to get any groups anymore. Or, you know, you played the new Call of Duty the day it came out. You must be like one of those Call of Duty freaks. Like, we're going to stop you from being able to play with other people. Like, you can see how it could be easily manipulated by any side to try and, like, mess it up. You would want there to be a lot of transparency and discussion about how the rating system works. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, Ailment. It's called Nosedive. It's my favorite episode of Black Mirror. That's the Bryce Dallas Howard episode. Super good. You don't associate with any friends from school. After graduation, you moved away and didn't look back. Yeah, I mean, I always feel a bit like that. That like I had quite a close group of friends at secondary school, and then I kind of fell out with a lot of them, and then some of us moved to different places. So there's one of them, at least I know, still lives in the city. But we all kind of not exactly fell out, but like, I don't know, we weren't on best terms just at the end of secondary school. It just happened to be like that sort of summer for various reasons. And I think I went through a very typical thing that I think a lot of people do. That I was in the same secondary school from when I was 11 to when I was 18, because we have sixth form here. So rather than going to like a separate college, sixth form, I stayed at my school. So I was in one school from 11 to 18. And so I was friends with a lot of group. Now, my school happened to be an all-boys school. So this isn't that normal in the UK, but it does happen sometimes. Just where I was from, there were boys' schools and girls' schools. So I went to an all-boys school. There were girls in it from 16 to 18 for sixth form, but not before then. And so anyway, so most of my friends from school were all boys. Like, the vast majority of my friends that were like my school friends were all boys. And then when it got to like 16 to 18, then I was like going out with people and like had girlfriends and stuff like that. And I had a long-term girlfriend. And then that meant that like a lot of my attention, because, it was like my first proper relationship and stuff, was like on her, which meant I was seeing a lot of my friends a lot less. Just at the point where we then went to university, and it was like, well, I was already seeing them a lot less because all my attention was on my girlfriend, who we then broke up with at the beginning of university. And it was like, so then I'd sort of lost a lot of those friends. And like I said, the ones that I still stay in touch with are basically the people who I play video games with, or, a couple of people who I vaguely stay in touch with, but only like I speak to them like once a year. Partly because one of them lives in Seattle now. But it's like, there's a couple of people who I kind of stay in touch with, but a lot of them I just lost by bad social engineering, I guess, on my part. And then I made a bunch of friends at university, but same sort of thing, then got in another long-term relationship, focused too much on that person, ended up sort of not keeping in touch with a lot of them when we all moved away from university. It's a real shame. Video games are the one thing that kind of held a lot of my social groups together that I'm still in touch with, which is strange. It's Black Mirror UK program. Oh my God, Robert Hall, have you never seen Black Mirror? Have you never seen Black Mirror? Black Mirror was a UK program, and then it got picked up by Netflix, so now it's a Netflix thing, and like there's a lot of the people involved with it have been Americans now. Black Mirror, for anyone who doesn't know, is a program created predominantly, I think, by Charlie Brooker, who actually used to be a PC games reviewer for, I know he used to write for like PC Zone, I think. So yeah, he was a games reviewer, and then he started writing for The Guardian, and his whole thing was like making fun of crap TV. Like that was his whole thing when he wrote for The Guardian, was like screen wipe, where he would just like talk about how ridiculously terrible stuff was on TV. And then he also made a TV program that's really, really good. I strongly recommend people go check out if you haven't seen it, which is called Nathan Barley. And Nathan Barley was this amazing show that was all about, essentially, it was about influencers. And it was done before YouTube was even invented. Like, he made this like little British comedy. It's like 6 episodes. It's not long. And it's like, at the time, I didn't even think it was that good. But it's like about this guy getting involved in working for a music magazine. But he is all about, like, he records videos on his phone and uploads them to the internet. And at the time, that was like unheard of. Like, that seemed like a crazy idea. And he's like constantly just trying to create content. Like, it's all about content. And it's insane that he made, well, I'm going to look up when he made this because it was a long time ago. And it is, like, it's so weird watching it now when everything basically came about. So he started, there's 6 episodes, and it started in 2005. And I think YouTube history, when did YouTube start? History of YouTube. YouTube started in 2005. So, like, literally, he made this, and this was February 2005, so this was just before YouTube. He made this show all about someone who was basically like the first YouTuber, and it's so funny. It's got Rich Leoardi in it, who a lot of people know of as Moss from the IT crowd. It's got Julian Barrett in it, who's one half the Mighty Boosh. It's created by Charlie Brooker and Chris Morris. Chris Morris, people will know from like Brass Eye, and he was the boss in the first season of IT crowd. It's really, really good. Well worth watching. Anyway, sorry, that's a complete aside. Just there you go. Nathan Barley. Watch Nathan Barley. It is very, very, very funny. Anyway, so yeah, Charlie Brooker did that. And then he also did a couple of other shows. He started doing Screen Wipe as a TV show. And then he did Dead Set, which was this one-off, sort of not quite a film. It's a TV show, but it's only like 3 or 4 episodes. that was all about what if zombies attacked while people were in the Big Brother house. So it was like zombies in Big Brother. It was crazy, but it was really, really good. That was like genuinely scary because obviously the people in Big Brother house didn't know what was happening, didn't know that there was like an apocalypse outside for quite a long while. And yeah, so that was cool. And then he started doing Black Mirror. So Black Mirror is, so going back to the original point, Black Mirror is this show where every episode is a completely different story. Like very, very few of them are connected in any way. I think there's a couple of references, but not many. But basically each episode is like a different dystopia. Each episode takes an idea about technology. Because like Black Mirror is a reference to like your phone screen, you know, your phone being like a black mirror when it's turned off, I guess. And yeah, it's like, it's all about technology and how technology could lead to a dystopia. And so the episodes are really clever. Like Nosedive, like I said, is my favorite episode, where it's all about a world where everyone constantly gets ranked for everything. And then, you know, so you can just be like getting a misunderstanding with someone and they think that you're being rude to them and they give you a 1-star review. And then, you know, what about if you publicly did something that annoyed people? Then suddenly millions of people could give you a 1-star review, and then that could literally ruin your life. It's like that kind of thing, which is very, very cool. And then there's other ones about like, what about if we brought people's consciousness back from the dead as like, you know, but not their actual consciousness, but just like their personality into like a robot type thing as like a comfort to help with grief? Or what happens if you had like a virtual reality thing that was like super addictive and stuff like that? And they're really good. Like the first few seasons, I would say, are a lot more edgy. Like the first few seasons are really, really dark and a lot more kind of based in real life, like a lot more sort of near future type ideas of like, okay, what would happen if this happened with like YouTube, or what would happen if this happened with Facebook kind of thing. And then as it's gone on, it's got a bit more sci-fi, like a little bit more out there. But yeah, there's some insanely good episodes. It's a very, very good show. Quite hard to watch all the time, and they're all super bleak. Like they don't have happy endings, so don't go in there expecting a good time exactly. But they're really interesting. I love Black Mirror. So yeah, go watch Black Mirror, Americans. It's on Netflix, so you can watch it. And also go check out Nathan Barley. I think you can probably watch Nathan Barley on YouTube now, but it was on Channel 4, so you might be able to find it on Channel 4 in All 4 and stuff like that. I mean, to be honest, I'm pretty sure you can find it on YouTube. Nathan Barley. Well worth watching. Anyway, sorry, I should go back to chat because I'm just neglecting you, really. I'm so happy that we've got 50 people watching. I know that's nothing like the sort of 60 people, the 100 or 200 people that I'd have watching playing DMZ, but this is super fun. I'm enjoying this. Good times. Someone asked, do I play Fortnite? I haven't played it for a little bit, Acrosi. I do like sometimes hop on for the events. I've played a couple of the seasons recently since the no build mode's been in and quite enjoyed it. I tend to, like with Fortnite, I tend to load it up and see what the battle pass is like. And if the battle pass is something I want, then I play it loads. Like I played it loads to get like, was it Darth Vader, I think was one of them. I played it loads to unlock Darth Vader. But I don't tend to play every season. I'm not very good at it or anything like that. I can't do the building, and it's all a bit like I'm a bit rubbish at it. But I enjoy it. It's fun. Bandersnatch was fun too. Yeah, Bandersnatch is a weird one. Bandersnatch is like a weird interactive one, like episode of Black Mirror where you kind of choose what happens next. It's very odd. Kind of interesting though. You worked in the vape industry, SoCal, and your expos were the same. Oh yeah, that's a bit weird. Charlie Brooker once wrote an article defending being a camping sniper. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things that I've agreed with Charlie Brooker on. And one of them is about, well, there's actually two things that I agree with Charlie Brooker to do with video games. One of them is that I think playing however you want to play in a video game is fine as long as you're not cheating. I really, really lose respect for a lot of people online when I see them making fun of, you know, casuals or campers or whatever. It's like, if you're playing the game the way it was designed, it's fine. Like, if you're not using exploits and stuff. And I would even argue, in my mind, bunny hopping and drop shotting and quick scoping and slide cancelling. All of those things in my mind were basically exploits. Like, they were things that the game clearly wasn't like designed around. But things like camping and sniping and stuff like that, I think the game is designed around that, and I think that's fine. I don't have any problem with people camping. It can be frustrating to get killed by a camper, but it's like, it's a perfectly legitimate way to play, and the game gives you tools to deal with it. I really hate the mindset that people have of like, you know, oh, you're playing the game wrong. Especially when you see people saying ridiculous things like, oh, you know, like, you beat me, but you're trash because you're just camping or whatever. And it's like, but they beat you, so they're better than you. Or they were better than you in that situation. Like, that's just how it works. Yeah, I find the weird way people try to gatekeep gaming, and Call of Duty in particular, is very, very odd. What else was I going to say? The other thing that I agree with Charlie Brooker is he has an article where he talks about how horrible the characters are in Modern Warfare. And I completely agree with that. Sorry, I need to sneeze, but I don't want to sneeze. And so I keep on touching my nose to like try and pinch it to stop myself from sneezing. Yeah, in Modern Warfare, he talks about how like he's, you know, playing a little bit of a Call of Duty game in the campaign, and then like you're following Price, and Price is meant to be like this hero that you're meant to look up to. And then like you sneak up on someone and he like stabs someone through the neck, like pinning them to the wall through the neck with a knife. And it's like, that was unnecessarily horrific, and I don't really want to follow someone who behaves like that. Like, that's not a good thing. That's like absolutely horrific and abhorrent. And it's like, I've always felt like that about like the Call of Duty main characters don't have anything redeeming about them. Like, Mason is the most interesting Call of Duty character they've had. Like, other than Mason, I can't think of a single really interesting character at all. Like, I don't know. Can someone come up with some suggestions of the interesting ones? Yeah, Alejandro is like still a very like two-dimensional character. Like, they almost tried to give him some depth, where they were like, oh, like, I don't talk about my family because I need to keep them safe. Like, you know, I need to keep, he's torn between his allegiance to his country in Mexico, but also the corruption that is rife within Mexico. And that puts him in a very difficult situation. But then he just opens fire with an LMG on a bunch of Mexican soldiers, and it's fine, and nothing ever happens to him because of it. And it's like, meh, you kind of undermined your own point there, which is a bit of a shame. Yeah, Mason, I think Mason in Black Ops is kind of the interesting one. Is it Mason? Is he the one with the numbers and stuff? The one where it's like he's been compromised by his time in prison, by his time being like brainwashed with the numbers and stuff like that. And he thinks that he's doing the right thing, but he can't be sure of his own mind. And no one else can entirely trust him because he has this programming. Yeah. Like, that to me is an interesting idea. That's something I haven't really seen in other stories and stuff. I think that's a cool idea, that you're playing as a soldier that can't trust his own mind and can't even really trust his orders or anything like that. And he's being manipulated by all sides, by his enemies, by his own country, and by, you know, a bloody ghost in his head, like someone who's not even actually there. I think like Mason was interesting. Like, Mason was a cool character, but like, that's it. Like, none of the others are interesting in my mind. Like, Price is literally just, he's a soldier who is good at soldiering, and he thinks the solution to everything is being a good soldier, and as in not even being a good soldier and following orders, but like being a good soldier by killing a lot of people. And he's always like kind of right, isn't he? Like, Price doesn't, I don't know if there's any times where Price says like, we should do this and we should just go kill them all, and then he does that and that's actually a bad thing. You know, like, I mean, like, most of the story of Modern Warfare 2, they would all be like immediately like court-martialed, put up for treason, put into International Court of Human Rights or something, sent to the Hague. It would, like, there's just so many things that they do that are absolutely terrible in that game. You know, they go from what they like basically invade Mexico. Like they go into Mexico. Well, first of all, some Mexican special forces coming to the US and go through a bunch of people's houses and kill a bunch of people, and a load of police get killed in the ensuing firefight. Apparently nothing comes of that. People go into Mexico, American soldiers go into Mexico, kill a load of the Mexican army. Apparently that's fine. They literally flatten basically an entire town with an AC-130 with using a private military company. Apparently that's fine. They go to Spain for some bizarre reason. They go to Spain and snipe a load of people who they couldn't possibly know whether or not, like, how embroiled they are in this whole thing. And to be honest, they were only going there to try and gather some information, to try and find some pieces of a rocket that an American person, an American soldier had sold, or American general or whatever had sold. Like, but they went and murdered a bunch of people in Spain. Like, that's not something you can do. Then they go to Amsterdam and they go and drug a load of people on the street and then shoot a bunch more people on the streets in the middle of Amsterdam. It's like all of that is utterly insane. Like, utterly insane. Yeah, good, thank you, Johnny. Just trying something a bit different. But yeah, it's exactly Alphas. They go for Price makes hard decisions, but it just ends up being Price commits war crimes, and Price is shown to be right for committing war crimes. Like Call of Duty is essentially like, hey, maybe war crimes aren't so bad. And then like what, you have other characters. You've got Ghost, who is good at killing people and thinks the solution to everything is killing people, and again, he's usually right. And his like character development is that he has a mask on, and then it's like, oh, what's underneath the mask? And then at one point he takes off his mask and everyone's like, all right, and then he puts on another mask immediately. It's like, who cares? Like, no one, like, that does, none of that matters. And then you have Alex, who is a soldier who's good at being a soldier, but now he only has one leg because he nobly sacrificed himself by blowing himself up in a giant factory. And then he just lost a leg, but apparently he was absolutely fine. So that was a bit strange. Who else is there in Call of Duty? Farah, whose whole thing is like, oh, she's like a freedom fighter leading this like ragtag bag of rebels in the Middle East somewhere to try and fight against the other groups that are also vying for control of that area. Like, wow, so original. And then her thing is that she's noble and thinks that the solution to everything is probably killing a bunch of people who get in her way. And again, she's usually right. And weirdly, when the Americans, one of the Americans gets kidnapped in Spain in something that was entirely preventable and then gets taken to the Middle East, she's just willing to throw away dozens of her own people to get that one person back. Just because she's friends with them. Like, she's not friends with that person, but friends with the people who ask her for a favor. It's like she just sacrifices tons of her own people to get an American CIA person back. Like, utterly insane. Yeah, Gaz is, he's the Metropolitan Police, which is now something that, people who keep up with UK news will know, not something to be proud of, but he saw a lot of violence on the streets of London and wanted to get more revenge than the police force would allow him, but he didn't know if he was willing to go as far as Price was for revenge, and then he was willing to go as far as Price was for revenge, so now he's just in the special forces, apparently, because apparently the Met Police are, like, trained in the same way that the special forces are. It's just like, he just became an honorary member of the SAS, basically. Oh, and then there's Soap, and he likes killing people, and he's Scottish. That's that. So that's his thing. It's just like utterly like vapid characters. Like none of these characters are interesting. None of these characters have any kind of failures or anything holding them back or anything that's kind of any depth at all. They're just people who like killing people. And then sometimes other people are like, oh, I'm not sure if you should kill so many people. And they're like, we should definitely kill these people. And then they kill the people and everything works out fine for them. And it's like, oh, okay. And then even if they die, like Alex definitely did at the end of Modern Warfare 2019, they'll just bring them back like they're some kind of Marvel superhero. It doesn't matter that they died. Like, it's so stupid. Oh, Gaz was SAS before he... What? Oh, I thought Gaz, because he was wearing a police I thought he was wearing a police uniform in Modern Warfare 2019. I didn't realise he was SAS trained. Well, fair enough. That makes him less interesting. So he's just another Special Forces person who likes killing people. Is that not just like in real life, Flo, the accountability part? How many drones have killed civilians just to target one target, for example? No one's ever held accountable for those innocent deaths. you're right, kind of, but that doesn't happen in Amsterdam or in Spain. Do you honestly think it wouldn't be a big deal if, say, a drone strike happened in mainland Spain or in Holland? Even in Mexico, I feel like if someone lit up against the Mexico, if a private military company that's clearly working with the Americans started using an AC-130 on a Mexican village, I feel like that would be a big deal. I mean, yes, I mean, yeah, the SAS has committed war crimes, like very, very, very notably. It's yeah. I think, Spud, like, you're right, like the drones that have been used in places like Afghanistan and Pakistan especially, like that is horrific, but for, you know, for terrible reasons, people see those places, like Afghanistan particularly, but even to a lesser extent Pakistan, as like almost like enemy countries, so it's seen as maybe more okay. But even then, I mean, a lot of people, I think that most intelligent people would argue that when they're doing like this sort of thing in a place that's not an active war zone, that is not okay. You know, I was really shocked when Osama bin Laden was captured or killed. Well, I don't know, not really captured, was he? And like they were saying like, oh yeah, it was in Pakistan, and it's like, wait, you sent special forces into Pakistan with 2 like Black Hawk helicopters, killed everybody in a building, and then left without telling Pakistan that that was going to happen. Like that seems like the sort of thing that's probably like, you know, not okay. Like that doesn't seem right to me, and I don't know enough about international law and stuff to know exactly why nothing really ever came of that. But that was weird. And it's like the Call of Duty just takes it to an extreme where it's like it just normalizes this idea that special forces can do absolutely terrible atrocities where definitely a bunch of civilians are getting killed in any country they want, and it just doesn't matter. Like they'll just go around and kill a bunch of people. It's just awful. You're here for episode 1 of the GP podcast thingy. Yeah, like after I do this video, I'll put that episode 1. Sounds like an invasion when you put it like that. It does a bit, doesn't it? That's a bit like an invasion. And it's like, you know, obviously like, you know, it's not like the US are the only country that's done something like that. But it's like, it's just going away from real world politics a little bit, putting it into Call of Duty where it's showing there being no repercussions for all these people. Just seems insane. Like Modern Warfare 2019 probably should have ended with all of them being like, hey, you probably need to be in court and maybe some of you should be in prison for the things that you've just done. And then, you know, Modern Warfare 2 should definitely end up with them all being in prison for the things that they've just done. It's just weird. It's like the whole thing is just a very like immature like story, isn't it? The whole thing's a very immature story of like, it's a power fantasy for a bunch of men mostly going around killing everyone they want to save the world. And it's like, it's a sort of thing that like, you know, a teenage boy would write. And for some reason, obviously, they've decided that that's the way they're going to go with Call of Duty stories. And I think that's a shame. I think like Call of Duty, I think Call of Duty's been at its best when they've done dramatizing some real world battles with what the World War II stuff. So like Call of Duty 1 and 2, I thought they did a really good job of like being like, hey, these are some real things that happened. We're going to, you know, dramatize it, heroicize it a bit, but we're going to do it pretty much like how, like showing you some things that really happened, which I thought that was very cool. I thought they did really well when they were doing the Black Ops story, Black Ops 1 story, particularly, not so much the others, but Black Ops 1, where it was like, hey, this is like a kind of crazy what if, you know, this like horrific CIA sneaky thing, like going in Russian gulags and stuff like that. That was cool. I thought that was a good idea. And then I liked it when they did the fantasy stuff. So they did the futuristic stuff. So Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, Ghosts. I enjoyed all of those campaigns. I thought that was fun of like, you know, hey, imagine like these crazy things that could happen in the future. Because then they've got a lot more freedom to kind of do whatever they want. And I thought that was cool. You know, I really liked the whole thing with Ghost, with the whole satellites, the space station firing the rods down and stuff. That was cool. But yeah, all that stuff's fun. All of the stuff they've tried to do where it's like, oh, this is the real secret world of the of the special forces. And it's like, no, it isn't. This is just war crimes. This is just war crimes made fun. And it's not particularly fun. I mean, to me at least, the campaigns haven't been that good. You know, and then like the newer Cold War stuff, like with Black Ops Cold War, I didn't think that story was very good, and it was just a lot of kind of going backwards and forwards to the same locations. I didn't really like that. And then like now with the World War II stuff, now they're having to make up stuff within World War II. I think there's an element of like that cheapening things a bit. I did actually, out of the more recent Call of Duties, I genuinely think I enjoyed the Vanguard campaign the most, which I think is like a controversial take to have in Call of Duty. But I think the Vanguard campaign was pretty good. Like, it was fun, and it was like kind of an interesting idea of like a team being sent to like deal with Nazis like after the end of World War II. That was kind of cool. And then you still got to have little flashbacks to things happening within World War II about what brought them together. All of that stuff I thought was pretty cool. Like, and the music and everything was amazing, and the acting was pretty good. The characters were like still quite shallow, but they're at least kind of interesting. Like, their backstories were kind of interesting, you know, because you got to see different theaters of war. It didn't really build up to that much, but it's cool. And having that whole thing of like, you know, the interrogations and the Nazi guy being, it was like one of the hobbits, wasn't it? The guy who played the Nazi being like, you know, getting increasingly more frustrated when he slowly realized that these people were kind of badasses at the same time as you realized it too. That was cool. Like, that was a cool idea. I thought it was good. But Robert Hall, I would almost prefer it if they did that. I would prefer it if Robert Hall said, Call of Duty they take real life scenarios and blow it out of proportion, like the Expendables movie. I would kind of prefer it if they did go all out like the Expendables. If they made it so it was just like silly, larger than life characters. But like, it's not, they try to make it serious. And that's the mistakes. Like, they try to make it like somehow a sensible kind of thing. It's the same problem I have with a lot of these things. There's so many franchises where it's like they don't know whether they're like ridiculous Hollywood nonsense or whether they're like trying to tell a heartfelt story. And it's like, I mean, Expendables itself has been guilty of this, but Fast and the Furious, another good example of like Fast and the Furious, when it was like about street racing and stuff, was cool. And then when it's like all silly and like over the top, it can be still kind of fun. But then when they try to do it's like, oh, it's silly and over the top, but there's really a heartfelt message at the core of it. It's like, no, this isn't working anymore. Karmakan said, hi, Seminator. Karmakan says the Vanguard campaign was good, but it felt like a prologue. The actual mission was very short. That is true. That is true that the like actual bit that you were doing like is essentially the first mission and the last mission of Vanguard, and all the rest of it is backstory. But I kind of thought the formation of the Vanguard was the fun bit of it. Like, that was kind of the interesting part. The first mission was good, and then the middle bit, getting to know them all, was cool. And then the last mission, it definitely could have been better gameplay wise. Like, I think being able to use all of their abilities, they tried to do a bit of that because you were like swapping between all of their perspectives, but it didn't really feel like they needed all of their individual skills to get through it. I think that could have been cool. You know what would have been cool? Okay, so this is my idea for what would have been cool in Vanguard and would have blown people's minds. Imagine if you play Vanguard, you play the first mission where you're there and there's a bunch of other people, but really you don't know who they are. They're all just strangers, so it's fine. You move through and you go through the thing, and then maybe you're like, oh, the other people are behaving a little bit weird, but you move through, kill all of the enemies, everything like that. And then you get to the end of it, and it gets to the part where you get captured, and then you go through the backstories. And the backstory is exactly the same as they are in Vanguard. You're like just playing through all of the backstories. Then you get back all together, and you get to like that final mission, and it's a big, long final mission, lots of stuff going on. And then you realize that all of the other characters are actually played by real players. And you get put as one of them. Maybe you can even choose which one at the beginning, you can say, but then you get match made with other people, and you don't know that you're being match made until you're in the game, and then you realize that the way they're behaving, they're actually real players. And so now you've got like a big co-op mission to finish off where everyone's playing as like their favorite character from the campaign. Like how Journey did it, you know, Journey like suddenly throws you into co-op without telling you. That would have been cool. That would have been fun. And then, you know, they could have had it so it was just AI if you weren't online or whatever. But just never make a big deal of it, but just sort of like some subtle nods to be like, hey, these are actually other people who you're playing with now. It would have made that final mission so much more exciting. And then everyone would have been using their abilities at the same time rather than it being like just the one you're controlling is using the abilities. That would have been cool. I mean, probably super hard to do. I don't know, but would have been fun. Yeah, like the raids now, but like not even like talking. So I wouldn't want to break the immersion by having someone suddenly like, you know, hearing someone eat a packet of crisps while they're playing or whatever. But I think that would have been cool. Anyway, I just realized the time. It's like 1 hour. We've been going for 1 hour, 40 minutes. And we still haven't done the first thing that I wanted to talk about, which is games that are coming out soon. So let's go back to that for a little bit and talk about some of the games that are coming out soon. So we've already talked about all of these things. Dredge is that thing where you go around fishing. I don't think that looks that good to me. Right, let's talk about the games that are coming out in April. So just at the end of this month, the big thing really is Resident Evil 4, isn't it? Some people I'm sure will be interested in MLB The Show. I've never played an MLB game. Don't know much about it. I know, isn't that a game where it's like technically a Sony game, but it's on Game Pass, which is very strange. Anyway, then April, we have Hogwarts Legacy's coming out on last gen. I think that's been delayed. I don't think that's actually happening. Don't care. I don't know what Meet Your Maker is. Don't know what that is. That's just DLC for 96. Another Mega Man collection. Don't care. Don't know what God of Rock is. Minecraft Legends. What's Minecraft Legends? I feel like I've seen something about that, but I don't really know that. Don't really know that. But then we get Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores DLC. Don't know anything about that. I did play through Horizon Forbidden West. I thought it was okay. The first like maybe like 10 hours of the game I really enjoyed. Like I really think the combat in Horizon is absolutely awesome and the world is kind of awesome. But I think in Horizon, a lot of the like gathering stuff and a lot of the side quests and stuff were kind of tedious, and it's almost got that Ubisoft thing of just giving you too many repetitive things to do. It's like, oh, hey, there's like this arena where you can fight enemies and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, cool, I'll do that. And it takes like an hour or so. And it's like, there's 6 more of them. Go do them. And it's like, oh, I don't want to do it again. I've already done it once. But it's like, but if you want to complete it and get the shiny thing, you have to do 6 more of them. But it's like, this isn't going to be fun. So that's kind of a shame. So yeah, Horizon, I'll have a look at the DLC. I'll check it out. But I got very burnt out on that game by the time I finished it. Then on April 21st, we have Dead Island 2. I really liked the first Dead Island. This game, obviously very, very worrying that it's been like, what, 10 years in development with like 4 different development studios. I've listened to a lot of the previews from people who played it a little while ago, and the consensus seemed to be like, it's kind of fun, but also obnoxious, and the combat isn't that great. Some cool things like, you know, the gore looks really cool. Co-op, it could be a lot of fun. I feel like it's the sort of game where I'll play it for like 1 or 2 sessions and then probably be done. But those 1 or 2 sessions I'll probably have a lot of fun with. So we'll check out Dead Island 2. We'll see how it goes. Then we've got Afterimage, don't know what that is. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. I still haven't actually played Monster Hunter Rise. I know it's on Game Pass now. My wife just started playing it last weekend and she was having a good time with it. So I might check it out to play some co-op with her. And I feel like Flynn played a lot of Monster Hunter Rise. Maybe I'll play some and he can show me the ropes, because I'm assuming it has crossplay. I don't know. It's on Game Pass, so maybe I'll give it a go. Then we've got Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I am super excited about Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I know it's a long way away yet. Like, it's still over a month away, a month and a week away. But I am very, very excited to play that game. I really liked Fallen Order. I think I liked it a lot more than a lot of people seem to. Like, it's one of those games where I played it and was like, oh my God, that was like the best Star Wars game we've had in ages. And then I went online and there's those people just complaining about it. I'm like, wait, what? What games did you play? I thought it was really good. It's like there's little bits, like, was it Dathomir, that planet, that was kind of a bit tedious. There's like a bit too much backtracking. But overall, I thought the combat was really, really fun. I thought it looked great. I really liked the characters. I really liked the story. The ending, I don't want to talk about it here, but the ending was like just insane. Like, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a really cool game. Really, really cool. And it did something really well that I think a lot of those kind of games don't do, those sort of single-player adventure games, where it constantly gave you new things to play with. Like, a lot of games, like Horizon Forbidden West, actually, give you, like, they keep drip-feeding you new abilities and stuff, and then that stops, and then the game keeps on going for, like, 20 hours. And it's like, but now you're just doing the same thing. Like, you found weapons that work really well. You found a way to basically deal with everything. So now you're just doing the same thing all the time. Whereas Star Wars Fallen Order, I thought, did a really good idea. Oh, sorry, Jedi Fallen Order. Did a really good version of that, where they just kept on giving you new things, basically up until the last mission. And so, like, the way you played was always evolving. I thought that was cool. I definitely excited about playing that one. You've only just started Fallen Order. It's way different to what you thought it was going to be. Yeah, it's weird. It's like a sort of Dark Souls light. It's like an easy version of Dark Souls. But once you get to grips with the control stuff, I think it's really cool. I think it's really good. Then we've got Suicide Squad in May. Not excited about that based on the gameplay. I thought that looked super bad. Then in June, oh my god, June. June is quite the month for video games. We've got Street Fighter 6, which even if you're like only tangentially interested in like fighting games, Street Fighter's a big one. Like getting Street Fighter 6 is super exciting. So I'm looking forward to playing that. It'd be cool if we could play some on this site against viewers, you know, just set up some little things where even if we're not good at it, we'll just like hop on and play some games. I assume I would like it if it was on Game Pass, but I assume it won't be. Then we've got Diablo 4 on June 6th, which I'm so excited about. I can't wait for the next part of the beta, which will be the day after tomorrow. Super excited about that, so that'll be really cool. And then we've got Final Fantasy 16 at the end of the month, which again, I'm super excited about because the main thing I've heard about it is that like a lot of the fights now, the summon side of the fights, are basically like giant kaiju fights. It's like a Godzilla movie. So I am super excited about that too. I haven't actually finished a Final Fantasy game other than Final Fantasy 7, the remake. So, you know, maybe this will be the one. Maybe this will be the one I get into. Then we also got Exo Primal, apparently isn't out till July 14th, which is shocking. I played it in alpha and quite enjoyed it. I streamed it and nobody watched, which was a shame. But I've heard people saying that they enjoyed the beta that was going on lately. Baldur's Gate 3, August 31st. I will probably play that, but probably not on stream. I'll probably play that on my Steam Deck, so that'll be fun. And then a bunch more different things coming out at some point this year. Spider-Man 2 should be fun. Wolverine won't come out this year, surely. What else is coming out? Oh, the new Crew game. Yeah, I'm excited about that. What else? Avatar, if that comes out this year, I'll be excited for that. City Skylines 2. Yes, definitely play some of that. What else is coming out this year? Oh, Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. If that comes out this year, I'd be super excited about. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That looked like it could be a lot of fun. You know, I've never really got massively into Dead by Daylight and stuff like that. Or Friday the 13th, but whenever there's a new one, I'm always willing to give it a try. Always willing to give it a try. So, lots of cool games. I mean, right now, for me, on my radar... Oh, we've got Starfield as well. Starfield's in September, isn't it? Starfield's super excited about. But yeah, way more platforming and stuff too. Yeah, lots of jumping. I think it's fun. Yeah, I'm, like, for me, the big games that I'm looking forward to now is, like, shamefully, it's Diablo. And I say shamefully because it's not bloody coming out till June. Because of the beta, I've got like super hyped about it. And then like now we've got to go through all of April and May without being able to play it. Like we've got 2 months of not being able to play it, which is going to suck. But oh well. Oh, and Skull and Bones, that's coming out. That looks bad from what we've seen so far, but we'll see. Every time they've showed gameplay off of Skull and Bones, I've just been like, this does not look like a good game. This does not look fun. Right, shall we quickly go buy the Shredder bundle? Because I'd quite like to do a little bit of Call of Duty before we stop. So let's go and check out what that bundle's like. Maybe play a little bit. It doesn't look like I've got anyone coming on to play with. So it might be that I hop into a Warzone solos or something like that to play this. Just hop into Discord just in case Flynn or someone is secretly watching. He just doesn't know. Anyone want to give, if anyone has any feedback for like the way this sort of podcast type thing's working, if you would come back, let me know if you would come back in future to watch more of these. Do you think I should do them weekly? Do you think I should do them daily? What do you think? Sometimes if I did them daily, it would be like, sometimes I'd just be playing games the whole time. Sometimes I'd just be chatting the whole time. Sometimes I'd be like, you know, watching trailers and stuff. Talking about gaming news, maybe. We haven't talked about Counter-Strike. We haven't talked about all of the Twitch layoffs and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff we haven't really chatted about. So maybe I'll save some of that for tomorrow. Yeah, Mark, this is much more... I mean, like, I much prefer doing this because it's not really frustrating. Like, I would love to be able to do this. And having 50 people watching, that's not too bad. We've had about an average of 50 people, 40, 50 people watching throughout the stream. That's pretty good. It's just whether people would keep coming back. do content you want to do. The problem is I also need to do content that pays the bills. That's the issue. I would love to just do content I want to do, but I also need to do content that pays the bills. There's something that like I see people talk about a lot is like what like or why do we just have ads, like it makes the experience worse, or like why don't you just play something that you want to play and stuff like that. And it's like when you're doing this as a job, unfortunately a lot of what you do is controlled by what will make money. And lots of things like, you know, I would love to stream loads of Destiny. Can't, it won't make money. Hopefully Diablo will make money. Lots of people watch me play the first part of the Diablo beta. Kind of excited for that. Hopefully we'll make some money doing that. Right, let's have a look at this. I haven't done any of this yet. Maybe I could do some of these. You can't do them on bots anymore, which kind of sucks. I've done the marksman rifle one because I was using the temper zones and I haven't done any of the others. A lot of them are just headshots, which isn't too bad. But I don't know if I care that much about the camo. Right, so we've got the Shredder pack. Shredder. What do we think about this? How good is this? I don't know. It's not quite as good as I was expecting, to be honest, this bundle. I'm not, like, for one thing, to me at least, the only thing that makes him look like Shredder really is his helmet and his shoulder pads. Like, where's his big purple cape? Why is he wearing red? I assume it's to tie in with the new film. Then you get a broadside. I did see some funny takes from people on Twitter where they were saying like, oh, well, like, obviously, like, they just make these bundles to sell guns and that's why they, like, massively buff the guns just to, like, sell the bundles. And it's like, they just nerfed the broadside just before this bundle came out. Like, how does that fit in with your plan? But obviously they don't talk about that. And then the Hemlock. They are nice looking, they are nice looking guns, I guess. Dual Gadachis kind of look okay. Tank skin, I wish it was anything other than a tank skin, because obviously the tanks, you just don't really use them very much. And then you get a finishing move, shred them up, which might be kind of cool. Then this stuff I don't care about. I do want to hear the voice lines though. The fact that it's an operator is kind of cool. Luckily, I've got lots of COD points, so I think I'm going to get it. I want to hear the voice lines. I hope the voice lines are good. Why doesn't the melee have this ripple on them? That's the sort of thing that you can imagine being used in a court case against you at one point, Pandy, isn't it? Like someone saying sort of like, did Pandy ever show violent tendencies? Well, he did say once, why doesn't the melee ever have dismemberment on it? Right, let's have a look and let's make a loadout. I might go into multiplayer so I can see the tank as well. Keep it on the oh dear, you're funny. Right. Assault rifle. Let's try this. What is it? It's an ISO, so it's at the end here. Is it Saki? Saki. Put that on. We'll put the... I need to put overkill on. What was the other gun? Oh, the... Shot the broadside. Oroku. There we go. Got that, we got that. Fine. And then what else do I need to use? I need to make sure I've got my operators. Oh, I need to hope that I'm on that side. If I'm not on that side, that would suck. Vehicles. What tank is it? The heavy tank. Right, I've got that. Okay, let's do this. Alright, I need to make sure I don't have any sort of stupid soundtracks on the tank or anything. Okay, no war tracks, that's fine. So, battle on Santa Senya. No, I don't want that. I want, like... What? How do I get to big things? Invasion, I'll do. I need to hope that I get to play as Shredder in this. We'll see how it goes. Now, this is the problem about, like, if I do put this out as a podcast and people are just listening, I need to keep on talking a lot more, because if I'm not, then this part of the podcast is just going to be me being like, oh, look, there's a man over there. Oh, no, bang, bang. The forearm and hand armor could double as melee. That would be an awesome selling point. Yeah, that'd be cool if, like, when you did the melee, he just, like, whoo. That'd be cool. But it won't. It's also like, does Shredder use guns in Turtles? I don't know. What's the difference with the podcast feature? I don't really know yet. This is all a bit of an experiment for me. I know, like, it gets put to a different part of YouTube where it's much more of, like, it's a different thing, so people who are looking for podcasts will find it. I don't know what other features it gets, really. Does it do an audio-only VOD? I don't think so. That'd be cool, though. That'd be cool if it automatically put the audio out to, like, Spotify and things like that. As far as I know, it's more just, like, it's a different section of YouTube. You know, like, shorts and stuff. It's, like, a different part of YouTube, just for podcasts. Let's see how it's going. Oh, I've just suddenly got a thing saying no data. That's a bit of a worry. Oh, then it went back to excellent connection. And it didn't drop any frames, so that's just YouTube being weird. That's fine, then. Oh, my God. I need to get one of those fancy... mute. There we go. I need to get one of those things where the Stream Deck where I can like turn the dials to mute everyone. Am I Shredder? I didn't even see. Oh, did I not put a finishing move on? I think I did. I think I just equipped it from the thing. Oh, yeah, I am Shredder. Cool. I'm reloading. I hope he has some better voice lines than that. Alright, let's go see. Taking some screenshots and stuff. Right, let's see what's going on with Shredder. Now, I like it when they make actual operators rather than just skins. Mostly because of the voice lines. But if they don't have any good voice lines, it's gonna be rubbish. Deploying shell. I mean, that's kind of a thing. It says shell. That's kind of a Turtles thing, right? Right, am I being stupid? Where's the enemy? Koenig said enemy. Where are the enemies? I haven't actually played Round War on this map before. Right, killed a player. Okay, that was pretty cool. That was pretty good. I feel like I'm playing this like Shredder would. Yeah, go on, send your gun. Right, let's see how this goes. Come on, airstrike. Yeah! Oh wow, I killed a bunch of players doing that. That's cool. Right. These are just bots, I think, for the most part that I'm killing here. Let's call in a VTOL anyway. Hope that it gets some stuff done. Oh, I got sniped. Excuse me? On my screen, I literally couldn't see him. That was terrible. I mean, I had quite a good life there. What did I get? I'm on 71 score. I don't quite know what that means in terms of kills or anything, but that's pretty good. Try going different. How did that guy see me through the smoke? I mean, he had some sort of thermal scope on my screen. I couldn't see it at all. I want to kind of get over to that dome, but... My VTOL is doing some amazing work there. Oh, sniped again. This is, I remember now, this is why I didn't really like playing, oh god, Ren. I didn't really like playing Invasion before, was because it's just a bunch of snipers sitting at the back, and it's like not a huge amount of fun trying to move up to where the action is and then just getting sniped and having to run all the way back. It turns out I don't think one-shot snipers are particularly fun. Yeah, there we go. They're all sitting up there, I keep forgetting. I don't really have a gun that can challenge the one-shot the snipers. I don't see the snipers. I don't know how to get rid of them. It doesn't help that, like, obviously they're just going to come back if you want to do it. Do I have more ammo here? Yeah, I do. There. Wouldn't mind some tanks and stuff, that'd be fun. Oh, did I not even call him airstrike? Yeah, I did. There we go. About to say, that airstrike. I've killed the same guy over and over again. There's a guy called DTU. I feel like I've killed him so many times. Those snipers. There's a player out here somewhere. We'll get him with a shotgun. I'm not really used to balls idea. No, I mean, that wasn't quite as spectacular as I was hoping for, but I got the job done. I killed him, so that's absolutely fine. I just noticed, Steph, you had no faith in me. You were thinking that I was going to have to be using my, you thought I was going to have to be using my finishing move on AI. I used it on a player. Oh, okay, we've got a chop gunner. That's a problem. I mean, it is nearly down, but I swear. Going down? Yeah, it's going down. Are there no tanks on this mission? So I want to use my big shiny tank. It looks like it's just trucks. Fool! See, that's cool. That's what I like. Voice lines like that. I want more voice lines where I tell people that they're fools. Getting the odd player kill here. Ow. I'm sort of hiding in here while there's mortars going on, but... Oh, there's another shredder! Pretty sure I just saw a shredder buddy. Oh, no, more mortars. Okay, are we done with mortars now? Finished with them? Okay, I've got 7 bullets. Has anyone got any ammo? Looks like I'm sprinting forwards with the shotgun. That was pretty cool. He worked out where I was. Absolutely wrecked him. Doing pretty well in this. Shall we call in airstrike from over there? I'm going to call in... Oh, no, I don't want that. Yeah, enjoy that, sniper boy. Oh, I mean, I got sniped by a snipey boy, but I did kill a different snipey boy. I think I put that too far away. Oh. There's no tanks on this map, which kind of sucks. What is going on with those trucks driving around, not really doing anything? Oh, that was a player. I was getting a little bit too cocky there because I was just kind of hoping that they were all bots that I could just mow down. We're only just winning this. Which, considering my noble efforts, is a little bit scary. Man, some of these bots behave in very similar ways to what the players do. That's that guy that I've killed so many times. Ah, got minced. Just waiting behind that wall. Oh, he wasn't waiting behind that wall. See, there we go. I was nearly like, oh, bloody camper. But it actually wasn't really camping. He was just moving into a position where he could fight me. And then he did a good job of it. Oh, it's a plastic guy then. Oh, that was just a bot. Thought that was a player, for sure. Okay, they're friendly. Okay. Is there any way to guarantee that you get on a map that has tanks? Because I would quite like to be on a map that has tanks. You know what? This invasion thing actually kind of fun. We need to stay that down. I realise that this is going to mess up my kill death a bit, but that chopper gunner needs to go down. There we go. Can't have that surviving. Why do people keep driving off in the trucks with no one in them? Right, is anyone going to get in? This is why they drive off, no one in them. Why is he trying? Is anyone going to get in? No one's going to get in. Oh god. Oh, I'm okay. Hey, victory! And I was the best player. Nice! I definitely did better in the first half of that game than I did in the second half. But we got to use Shredder, we got to use his different guns, we got to use his finishing move. Didn't get to use his tank. That's the only thing that's bothering me. Not the most spectacular final kill I've ever seen. Kill death ratio of 3. I'll take it. I mean, I'm guessing that includes... Does that include bots? If so... If so, that's probably not so good, but still. Right, should we do one more game like that? Because I want to use the tank, and hopefully we'll get a map that has the tanks on them. I didn't realize that that map, you can't even get tanks on it. That kind of sucks. But we'll try it. We'll see. See how it goes. And like I said, I am more than just casually interested in any feedback people have about the format of this. Like, do you think I should... I think playing games towards the end of it, I think doing the chatting and then playing games for a bit isn't a bad idea. But maybe we'll try it different ways. Maybe tomorrow we'll start with some games and then do some chatting afterwards. Who knows? Maybe we'll just play games all day. But thank you so much everyone that's turning out for this. I honestly thought I was going to be sitting here with like nobody watching. No, I don't want to do Zai Observatory. How do you just like do something that's not Zai Observatory? Ground floor maybe? I don't want Zai Observatory. I want a map with tanks on it, because you just sold me a bundle with a tank in it, and I can't use that in many modes, so give me a tank game. I want to see my shiny tank. Ba-da-ba-da-boom. God, Ground War takes a while to find a game now. Like, not a while, you know, compared to normal games, but compared to Call of Duty. There's obviously not a huge number of people playing it. I still need to, well, I don't need to, but if I wanted to, I could do the long shots for every gun to move up to polyatomic. I do want to get polyatomic. I would like to, but I also don't want to do the long shots, which is a bit of a tough ask. Good morning, Slayer of Bacon. How's it going? Wonder what you'll think of the new format of my streams that I'm trying. What map is it? There we go. Oh, Almadic International. That has tanks on it, doesn't it? I haven't played on this map either. There's 2 new maps I haven't played on. But hopefully this one has tanks on it. That would be good. And then I'll just sit around and spawn until I get a bloody tank. Right, we'll hop in. I was thinking what I might do one day, maybe even tomorrow, is do some DMZ where like I just join random squads and see and help them. It has tanks, nice. What have I changed? So for the first like 2 hours of today's stream, I wasn't playing any games today with Bacon. We were just talking. The thumbnail doesn't have any mention of any games in it. The title doesn't have any mention of games in it. It's in the category gaming, so that's kind of what I've been talking about. But I haven't said it's a specific game. Just because I want to be able to like just do a daily stream, and then sometimes I might play Call of Duty, sometimes I might play something else, and see how that goes. Just see how it goes, really. Turn it into just like a, you know, morning, friendly, hey, how's it going kind of stream, rather than a, we're going to play DMZ and get some missions done kind of stream. Because I'm kind of getting fed up of playing DMZ every morning. It's getting frustrating. And I think the people I play with are getting frustrated too. Like, you can hear it in their voices. Like, Flynn and Scotto don't seem to be having as much fun as they used to. And I also can't just rely on them all the time. Like, they don't get paid for doing this. I did a few like this before. I haven't really done streams like this before. I've done videos like this before, for sure. But I think with videos, it doesn't work so well because of the discoverability. But I think with streams, maybe it'll be okay. I need to find a good category for this. Right, that's a little tank. I need a big tank. Big tank, big tank. No! No! He literally stood there and took the tank. I hope you die. I hope you bloody die. Are these people all waiting for tanks? It's kind of an interesting map in terms of play space. It's like big and open. I still wish it had been somewhere that wasn't, you know, the Warzone map. But still. Can I edit my loadout? Edit. If I take off that, highlight on, and then put dual cadet, put steel claws on. hoping these tanks get killed. I just want to see this tank. That's all I want to do. Yeah, try to shoot me now. Go on. I literally can't even see anyone. They're too far away. I'm going to drive a tank up, then I'm going to hop out and chop them up with some swords. That's my plan. That's my thinking. Do the tanks not spawn here anymore? Just trying to get some nice thumbnails, you know. Oh, because I haven't died, I haven't actually got the swords yet. Is that the... No, that's the little tank. Where's the attack map? There's the big tank. Come on. Come on, big tank. Oh, is that it dying? No, that's the big tank. Come on, die, you stupid big tank. He's just out in the open. How is no one taking him down? It's kind of weird and peaceful watching this like this. Oh. Is the big tank dead? No, big tank's still there. Just literally sat out in the open doing nothing. Oh, I should go get stuck in. I should go do something. At least get on the rooftop. I'll probably get sniped. Why did the tank have to get stolen by someone who's good with tanks? I just want a tank. Hey, I got shot by a little tank. It's not a good plan if the big tank doesn't even bloody spawn. Oh, cool. That's kind of cool. Yeah, shredder on a bike. This seems more appropriate to turtles, so there'd be like a toy or something like this. Nope, little tank. Not the tank I want. I want the big tank. I see someone trying to snipe me. They can give it a go. And I mean, they'll probably manage it. I don't know. I don't really have any way to protect against it other than driving fast. Where on earth are the tanks? That snipe was shockingly close to me. There's someone close to me who's sniping at me, but I can't see him. I don't know, that's not going. Why is there a tank spinning around there? Yeah! That was pretty bad. Oh, I got sniped. That was pretty bad. Pretty badass is what I was going to say then. I just said pretty bad, which is probably more appropriate. Alright, can I have a... No, I don't want that. No! Go away, stupid. No, 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 no. Screw you, War Tracks. Oh, it's got to be different on multiplayer compared to Warzone. Bloody hell. I don't want to get, like, demonetized because of that. Right. Let's go see if I can find a tank. Because the tank that has been going for literally the entire game still isn't dead. If I look on there, it's still there. There. It's right where I was, where there was loads of enemies were getting... Loads of enemies were there shooting at me. That tank is still there. We're just trying not to talk about leaks and stuff like that here, Pandy, if we can avoid it. Will they bring out other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ones? I don't think they will. I don't know. It'd be cool if they did. But I mean, like, isn't there some new Turtles movie coming out? So I imagine this was the tie-in for that. Although it doesn't seem to mention it. The tank's dead. The tank's dead. The tank is dead. I'm pretty sure our tank is dead. Do the tanks respawn, or are they just dead now? Surely they respawn. Yeah, I mean, it seems built for it. There's like 4 turtles, 4 people. That just seems to make sense. I just want to see what the bloody tank looks like. Come on. It seems insane that they haven't done the turtles, but, you know, people will be like, oh, it's not serious enough. Because people don't like fun. That's the little tank. Don't want the baby tank. Not interested in that. No one wants the baby tank. That tank got taken so quick. Come on, where's the beefy tank? Oh, you can see it on the character skin set. Oh, sorry, I thought it was just some leak thing. That's different then, my bad. I'll go have a look at that in a bit. Why do some of the vehicle things, like, spin around? That's a weird bug, isn't it? Like, some of the things just rotating. The plane just flew over. What was that for? That just dropped a tank off in the middle of the bloody map. Someone's going for it. Someone's already got it. No, they haven't. Got it! Yeah, shiny tank! We've got the shiny tank. Now I need to work out how to use the shiny tank. Shiny tank doesn't actually look very good, but still. Oh, someone shot at the shiny tank. Oh no, I'm going to use the shiny tank to this now. Oh, okay. I do not want to lose shiny tank. Yeah. That was quite brutal. There we go. Bloody hell. Someone else blew that up. There's another little tank somewhere. And they are running a distraction. They're doing a good job. Oh. How are you going to get away from this one? You're not. Okay. No, 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 no. Oh, that's so easily done. Just because, like, the border is completely arbitrary. Shiny Tank. The Adventures of Shiny Tank. Yeah. I mean, I'm putting myself in the way of danger here. If someone else is waiting for shiny tank, I apologize. Oh! Kind of threaded the needle of that shot. That was good. I have lost quite a lot of health. Oh no! This might be the end for Shiny Tank. Sorry, quad kill? Shiny Tank. I mean, Shiny Tank did well for me there, considering I spent most of that game doing nothing. There we go. That was pretty cool. 17 kills and 2 deaths. Considering that was all against players, I would take that as a win. A win for the Shiny Tank. And now we've got to see... Oh, and I leveled up the dual Kodachis, even though I didn't actually kill anyone with them. That's fine. Right, where's this Gorilla Mask one that you're talking about? There's the CDL ones. Is it just like a skin? There's no extra skins for him, sadly. Has Klaus only got a Christmas thing? That's crazy. Who's got this gorilla mask then? God, there's a lot of boring skins, isn't there? Burger Town Connor. There's some ridiculous Connor skins. That's kind of cool. No. I'm just having a look for all of these skins, trying to work out if there's any cool ones, and to look for this bear one. This is for the, this is like the edgy people one, isn't it? The harangue ones are like, oh yeah, I'm so edgy and mysterious and dark and I'm so misunderstood. I've noticed that, by the way, people, I've lost viewers since I've been playing, Call of Duty. I've got less viewers. So, you know, maybe I should just do the just chatting part of the stream and never play Call of Duty. That one look like, that's kind of cool. That skin's pretty cool. I don't know where I got that from. Why can't I go up? Anyway. Wait, there's Ronin skins. Nope, just two boring ones. Gaz. Nope, two boring ones. Wait, come on. Where's this skin you're talking about? Did somebody say? That one's pretty cool. That's a bit Master Chiefy. Quite like it. Bombs go. Obviously, eventually they'll do fancier Ghost, and I'm surprised I haven't seen loads of people wearing that Ghost skin. I thought that would be a super popular one. I don't know, I'm guessing it isn't in this guy. In price. This guy. That one's kind of cool. That one's cool except for the trousers. The trousers are a bit much in that. All of these ones look the same. They're just different colours. Gus. Yeah, the High Society one's okay. This one's okay. 3-piece. Where's this bear skin? I've just been through all of them. And there isn't one. That one's quite cool as well. Don't mind that. I've literally just been through every single operator, and there was not a bear skin. What was that guy on about? Oh, gorilla skin. That's what he was talking about, wasn't he? Did I miss one? That was absolutely all of them. Is he still there? Pandy! Pandy, you still there? Where can you see it on the character skin select? I couldn't bloody see it. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, that Shredder bundle, it's okay. I definitely don't think it's worth like 20 quid or however much that costs. That would seem insane. I am going to be doing something next... Not this weekend, but next weekend. We should have an event where we're going to have some private Warzone matches, and whoever wins each match will get like some COD points. So if you are hoping for some COD points, normally with those we get like 2,400 COD points at a time to give away. So you might be able to get some then. That might be a thing for you. But yeah. So let me know what you thought of this whole podcast thing. We need to work a little bit on, you know, the pacing of it and how much we spend talking about each thing. And then I'll try and get some guests and stuff like that. But I really enjoyed this live stream. It was cool. Would very much like it if a lot of you tuned in again next time. I need to find different ways to make it like more discoverable and stuff like that. So if you enjoyed it, let people know. That would be absolutely awesome. Oh, strange. I just don't see, if you can't see on the character skin thing, how do people know about it? Anyway, doesn't matter. So, thank you very much, everyone who has been watching today. Had a good time, and I will see you again this time tomorrow. Goodbye.